Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto has enough of Team 7 Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for Part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Snore. It's a wonderful morning of the last day of the academy. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, the wind. Ruriinig. God damn it. Naruto pounded the alarm clock with his fist. He sighed, then yawned and stretched, then grinned. Today's the day when I'm finally gonna become a ninja, he said happily. He jumped out of his bed and ran to his bathroom to quickly brush his teeth and wash his face. He impatiently waited for the water to boil and then poured it into his cup noodles while he changed. After quickly finishing his noodles, he threw on his headband that Irika gave him and made sure it's tied properly. Zipping up his jacket, he locked his door and dashed to the academy. When he got there, some of the students were already there, and some were just arriving. He got into the classroom and took a seat. Not long after, Shikamaru came into the classroom and spotting Naruto, he walked up to him. "What are you doing here? You failed the test, didn't you?" he said in a lazy tone. "Well, open your sleepy eyes, Shikamaru. Don't you see my headband? I passed too and we'll be training together. How do you like that?" Naruto replied cockily. "Huh. What a drag." A couple rows above them, a girl was sitting and watching them. Her big pearly eyes glistening, her blush intensifying and her fingers fidgeting. Naruto passed. Thank goodness. Naruto was still grinning, and it looks so darn good on me. Believe it. Oh, Naruto, Hinata quietly whispered, her cheeks getting redder. But she was distracted as two kunoichis burst through the door. "I'm first." They both yelled simultaneously, then got into an argument about it. Naruto looked up and his eyes met Sakura's. He blushed and waved at her. "Hey, good morning, Sakura. What's up?" he said happily. "Move it!" Sakura yelled in annoyance, and pushed him out of the way, looking at Sasuke dreamily. "Good morning, Sasuke. Mind if I sit next to you?" "Back off, forehead. I'm sitting next to Sasuke." "I was here first," Sakura yelled back at Ino. "I got into the classroom before you, everyone saw it." "Actually, I got here before either of you, I'm sitting next to Sasuke." "No, I am." As girls one by one joined the argument, Naruto was still on the ground where Sakura had pushed him. His brows furrowed in anger, and just as he was about to get up and jump in front of his rival, he felt a soft hand on his shoulder. "Hey, are you okay, Naruto?" Hinata quietly and sweetly asked him. "Yeah, I guess I'm fine. Can I sit next to you?" he asked, directing his gaze towards her. Hinata felt her heart flutter and her face heat up. "Oh, of course," she managed to stammer out. He got up and they walked up to the highest row in the classroom, and Naruto sat next to her and crossed his arms on the table, putting his chin in between them. She looked at him shyly, then she took a deep breath, and with all her courage she decided to try to talk to him. Why you okay? You look sad? Why is he so much better than me? What does Sakura see in him? He's arrogant and an asshole. I'm much better than him." Hinata gulped. "Why you are? She just does not know you, so she does not know how nice you are." "Huh? You mean that? You think I'm nice?" Before she had the chance to answer, Irika walked into the classroom holding a paper in his hands. "Everyone please take your seats, and girls, please get off of Sasuke," he sighed and pinched the bridge of his nose. "Alright, as of today you are all ninjas, but you are still just genin. All of you will be split into teams of 3 and you will have a jounin as your sensei." Then the entire classroom started chatting about the announcement, and they all had different thoughts. "Teams of 3, that will only slow me down. I hope I'll be with Sakura and anybody but Sasuke. I don't care who, just not Sasuke. Cha! I'm going to be with Sasuke, he's mine. Oh my, I hope I'm with Naruto. What a drag. Munch, munch, munch. Ahem. Irika coughed, stopping the chatter. As he announced the teams one by one, the cries of disappointed fangirls could be heard. Then he got to the last few teams. Team 7, Naruto, Uzumaki, Sasuke, Uchiha, and Hinata Hyuga. Sasuke stayed emotionless as always, but Naruto sure as heck didn't. "Why do I have to be stuck in a team with this jerk?" he yelled angrily, standing up and pointing at the Uchiha. "Because, in order to balance out the team, we put Sasuke, the best student of the year, with you, the worst student of the year," Irika replied with his hands on his hips. While the other students laughed at him, he sat back down, and his eyes met Hinata's. Well, at least you think I'm nice, right? He asked her in a concerned tone. She nodded lightly, smiling at him. Just don't get in my way, loser. Sasuke replied coldly. Naruto glared daggers at him. You can't boss me around, got it, jerk? You just get further away from me, loser. Sasuke replied, not looking at him, but his head snapped back at him after Naruto replied. And you'll just get that stick further up your ass. What did you say, dead last? You deaf? Naruto grinned, making Hinata giggle and the rest of the class laughing at Sasuke for the first time ever. Sasuke glared at him with his teeth clenched, not knowing how to reply to that. However, Naruto did. Why do you keep staring at me? Good looks aren't contagious. Now the whole class was really laughing. Even Irika chuckled. Sasuke just turned away from everyone, an angry expression on his face. After the laughter stopped, Irika announced the rest of the teams and told them where to meet their sensei. In the end, Team 7 was the only team left in the classroom. Naruto was walking up and down the classroom, occasionally peeking through the door, wondering why their sensei was so late. Hinata was sitting in the first row on the left, playing with her fingers. She couldn't believe her luck. She was on a team with her crush, just like she had hoped for. She didn't notice Sasuke looking at her. At least I didn't get stuck with one of those banshees. And banshee, an Irish legend, a female screaming creature, I think. However, his thoughts were interrupted when he heard a dragging sound. Looking up, he saw Naruto standing on a chair, placing a chalk eraser in between the door opening. That'll show him. Idiot, our sensei is a jounin. There's no way he's going to fall for a booby trap. Hi, you said booby. Naruto laughed. Sasuke sighed, idiot. At that moment the door opened and a gray-haired man walked in, covered in chalk powder. Ha! You fell for it. Naruto laughed. Is he mad? It was funny though, Hinata thought, trying to suppress a giggle. Sasuke was eyeing the man. He fell for that. Is he really a jounin? Finally Kakashi spoke up. Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. Oh, and you are a bunch of idiots. Being called idiots was not the first impression they were hoping to make. Team 7 were sitting on the roof of the academy building. Above them were the faces of the great Hokages. So Kakashi started first the introductions. Tell me about yourselves, things you like, hate, goals, hobbies, that kind of stuff. Why don't you introduce yourself first? Naruto added, annoyed. Okay, well, I'm Kakashi Hatake. Things I like and things I hate. I don't feel like telling you my hobbies. I have lots of hobbies. Goals, haven't thought about it. Your turn. Naruto was even more annoyed now. He just told us his name, he whispered to Hinata. She nodded, not bothering to even blush because she was actually annoyed too. Alright, Blondie, you first. Naruto frowned at the nickname but continued, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I like Ichiraku ramen and cup ramen. I hate the 3 minutes you have to wait after you pour the water in the cup. My hobbies are pranks and gardening, I guess, and my dream is to be the greatest Hokage ever. Then the whole village will have to look up to me. Believe it. Hinata was smiling at the first part of Naruto's speech, but blushing at the second part. Gardening? HL likes gardening too, and maybe we could, but her thoughts were interrupted. Now it's the young lady's turn, said Kakashi. Hinata blushed. Oh. Well, I am Hinata Hyuga. I like cinnamon buns and zensai and gardening. Also, I dislike shrimp and crab. My hobbies are pressing flowers, and my goal is to make my father proud of me. Okay. Now you, Kakashi said, looking at Sasuke. I'm Sasuke Uchiha. I hate a lot of things and I don't really like anything. My goals are to restore my clan and destroy a certain someone. Naruto was looking at him with a scared expression on his face. What an emo creep. I hope it's not me he wants to destroy. To some girls, Sasuke might have seemed cool and mysterious, but Hinata didn't think so. Oh dear, he will be very hard to approach. And neither did Kakashi. Just what I thought. Not good, he sighed. Okay, that's it for today. Meet me at the training ground for tomorrow at 7 a.m. Bring your weapons and don't have breakfast so you don't puke. Dismissed. He said with his one-eyed smile and disappeared in a puff of smoke. I'm out of here, Sasuke said, and jumped over the roofs and quickly got out of sight. TCH, and so much for being a team, Naruto said, annoyed. Hey Hinata, you got anything to do now? He said, looking at her, flashing a smile. She blushed. Oh, no I don't, she said, looking away, twiddling her fingers. So how about ramen? My treat. Hinata's heart skipped a beat and her face flushed. She couldn't believe it. Was her crush asking her on a date? I'm sure, she quickly said. Naruto was beaming. All right. Ichiraku's it is. Come on, you'll love it, I promise, he said with a big grin, grabbing Hinata's hand and dragging her in the direction of the ramen stand. Oh my, oh goodness, oh dear, he's holding my hand, his hand is so warm, don't faint, you can't faint. The inner Hinata was freaking out the entire walk to Ichiraku. The aroma of cooked ramen snapped her out of her thoughts. Naruto lifted the flap and they entered, greeting Ayam and Tuchi. Hey old man, hey Ayam. 2 bowls of miso with extra pork, Naruto yelled happily. The two turned around to greet them and saw Naruto and Hinata holding hands. I see you brought a companion, Tuchi said. Your girlfriend? Ayam added. Huh. Oh no, Hinata and I are just friends. Teammates actually, Naruto said, not letting go of her hand even after they took a seat. Oh? Ayam replied, wait, aren't there supposed to be 3 of you? Yeah, but guess who that is? It's Sasuke. Can you believe it? I didn't ask him to come, but I know that even if I did he'd say HN, which means no, so I didn't bother, Naruto said angrily. Ayam giggled. Oh dear. You're on a team with Sasuke? Ayam asked, then looked at Hinata. Is he a pain like Naruto says he is? Hinata didn't know how to answer. The only thing she was thinking about was that her fingers were still intertwined with Naruto's. Well, she managed to stammer out, he is nothing like Naruto, to put it like that. And Naruto interrupted Hinata, said she thinks I'm nice, so that means that Sasuke is an ass. She's the only girl not after the bastard, so that means she's smarter and better than all the other girls, and that's why I wanted you to meet her. Then he smiled at Hinata. Ayam smiled, she was glad Naruto found someone who liked him. Hinata's face flushed, and she felt like her heart was going to beat out of her chest. Naruto thought she was smart and better than the other girls, but is she better than Sakura? Her question was about to get answered as Ayam asked. All the girls? Even Sakura? She smirked at Naruto. Hinata's breath caught in her throat. She slowly turned her head towards him. Naruto thought for a moment, then grinned. Yeah. Even better than Sakura. Hinata's heart skipped a beat, and she couldn't stop a small tear from running down her cheek. She hid her face in her hands, hoping to hide the growing blush which kept getting darker as Naruto continued. She doesn't hit me like Sakura does, and she's nice and quiet, and she didn't make fun of me like the others did. I'm glad she's on my team, but Sasuke just ruins it. Plus, he's got this ambition of destroying somebody. I seriously don't know why girls are drooling over him. I mean, I'm better than him, I'm nicer, funny, and I'm cuddly too. Believe it! Naruto huffed. He let go of her hand and crossed his arms while the others giggled at him. After Hinata's face returned to its normal ivory color, their orders came, and they quietly enjoyed their meal. Even Hinata was enjoying it with an occasional which made Naruto smile. He was glad she liked his favorite food. She was the first girl to say yes to his invitation. He wondered why he didn't ask her before. He glanced at her. She was quietly nibbling on a piece of pork. Her hand reached out, sliding her side bang behind her ear. Naruto realized that she's the only girl with short hair he knows. Hinata saw that he stopped eating, turning her head in his direction. Their eyes met, and she blushed again. Was he looking at me? What is it, Naruto? She quietly asked. Naruto smiled softly. You're really pretty, you know? Hinata's eyes went wide, her blush intensified, and her whole body started to shake. The two were pulled out of their trance when Ayam let out a squeal. Naruto looked at Ayam and raised an eyebrow. What? She is. The rest of their meal was a blur to Hinata, and after he paid for the food he saw that it was getting late, so he offered to walk her home. She barely nodded, and grabbing her hand again they made their way to the Hyuga compound. Where do you live exactly? He asked awkwardly. To this way, she pointed with her free hand because the one that Naruto was holding felt numb, warm, and tingly. When they finally got to the compound he let go of her hand and they said their goodbyes. Hinata slipped into her room, glad that she avoided her father. Later that night she couldn't sleep, the events that just happened replaying in her mind. This was the best day of her life. Naruto called her pretty. No, really pretty. She squealed into her pillow. I didn't know it was possible that I could love him even more, she quietly whispered to herself. Yawning, she closed her eyes, ready to see him again in her dreams. Kakashi's bell test was a disaster from the start. Team 7 met in the training ground at 7 a.m. Sasuke was silent. Hinata was rested, having had a pleasant dream, but Naruto was as groggy as he could get, yawning and trying not to fall asleep. Finally, 3 hours later, Kakashi showed up with a lame excuse and got yelled at by Naruto. He told them the rules of the test, placing the alarm clock on one of the wooden stumps. When the test started, Sasuke and Hinata went into hiding while Naruto attacked Kakashi right away. He didn't even manage to get close to Kakashi, but Kakashi managed to get close to Naruto, stabbing him in the butt with his finger jutsu. Naruto fell into the lake and surprised Kakashi with a swarm of clones which burst out of the water, attacking Kakashi and catching him into a firm hold. Kakashi used the escape jutsu and Naruto was left empty-handed once again. Sasuke and Hinata managed to put up a good fight with Kakashi. Sasuke touched the bell but got buried up to his neck by Kakashi. But just before Hinata was able to pull Sasuke out of the ground, Naruto showed up and laughed his head off at the sight of a Sasuke mushroom. Sasuke was angry, but he stopped Naruto's laughing fit by telling him he touched a bell. As the two argued with each other over who would get the bell first, Sasuke HN'd and left to hide again, leaving Naruto and Hinata alone in the field. "I need to get that bell before Sasuke," Naruto yelled angrily. And Naruto?" Hinata spoke up a bit concerned. "I think we should work together to get the bells." Naruto thought for a moment. "Yeah. You're smart, so I bet we'll get the bells first. You got a plan?" "Yes, but let's hide first," she said in a serious tone, but glad he had accepted her suggestion. Her plan was for Naruto to distract Kakashi with his clones while she snuck up to him to shut off his chakra. With him not being able to move, it should be easy to take the bells. The plan was working as she managed to get close to her sensei while he was trying to get rid of two Narutos who were latched onto his legs. But just before she was able to touch Kakashi, the alarm clock rang. "Oh no," she froze. "Well," Kakashi said as the clones poofed into smoke, "the test is over. Sasuke, you can come out. Since Hinata managed to sneak up to me without getting noticed and Sasuke got the closest to the bells, Sasuke, you will get tied to the stump and you won't get any food." "What?" Sasuke yelled in anger and disbelief as he appeared in front of them. "Why me?" "You said it, I got the closest to the bells." "Yes, you did, but what do you think this test was all about?" Kakashi asked calmly. "Well, to get the bells, obviously," Sasuke yelled. He was getting angrier by the minute. "No," Kakashi said louder and frowned. "I said that you have to get the bells. I didn't say you had to get a bell first like this is some kind of race. But you all needed to get both the bells using teamwork. Hinata and Naruto worked as a team to try and do so, but you thought you could do anything by yourself. Those who betray their people are trash, but those who betray their comrades are lower than trash." After getting tied to the stump and denying food he was offered by Hinata and even Naruto, Sasuke couldn't believe he, the last of the Uchiha, was in this position, being fed rice by Hinata. Then Kakashi showed up and angrily asked why they disobeyed him when he had told them not to feed Sasuke. The three started a speech about being a team and being one. "That's your answer? You three are one?" Kakashi asked, looking at them like he was about to suck out their souls. The three of them gulped and nodded with a serious expression. "You pass," Kakashi said in a happier tone, giving them his one-eyed smile. "What?" They all looked at him in disbelief, but Naruto was the one to vocally respond. Another lecture about teamwork later. Kakashi told them where to meet for their first mission tomorrow and disappeared into a poof of smoke again. They untied Sasuke, who quietly jumped away, too humiliated to even say HN, and once again Hinata and Naruto were left alone. Naruto broke the silence. "Hey, Hinata? What did you mean earlier, when you said you were going to shut off Sensei's chakra?" "Oh. Well," she blushed, poking her fingers together. "I can see the chakra points with my Byakugan S, so I can block off chakra, so that person will not be able to use the body part in which the chakra F flow was affected in. I can turn it back on too." Blue eyes wide, he looked at her. "Wow. So you can see through things with it? It's like you have X-ray vision or something." He gave her a big grin. "That has to be the coolest thing ever. Can you teach it to me?" he eagerly asked. She blushed. "I am sorry, Naruto, but you cannot learn this. You will never be able to have Byakugan if you do not have a Hyuga in your ancestry. And I do and not think you would want to have creepy eyes like mine." She looked down sadly. "Your eyes aren't creepy, they're pretty, believe it. I've never seen eyes like yours before. You don't have pupils. I mean, if I didn't know better I'd think you're blind, but it's obvious you can see just fine." He gave her a laugh. Then his expression changed from happy to curious, and his face got really close to her face, staring right into her eyes. She turned tomato red. "Hey, I thought they were white, but they actually look kinda purple." He grinned. She pulled away and shook her head, hoping the heat would go away. "Yes, thank you now, Naruto." "No problem," he replied. "Anyway, what do we do now? I've got nothing to do now, you?" "No." He thought for a moment. "Oh, hey. Didn't you say you like cinnamon buns? How about it? My treat." He gave her a big grin. She blushed again and her eyes widened. "Yes, but why you do not have to pay again. I owe you, you paid last time." Nah, that's okay. You helped me pass. Let's go. She smiled sweetly at him and blushed even more. Thank you. He really is the sweetest guy I have ever met. They silently walked to the nearby bakery and got a box full of the sweet pastry. They searched for a quiet place, so they got to a park and sat under a tree, enjoying the peace and the sweet sugar glaze of the soft and warm cinnamon buns. But it was too quiet for Naruto, so he spoke up. Hey, what do you think Sasuke's doing now? He just ate it away today, he joked, a little annoyed. She giggled. I do not know, but he is missing these delicious buns, she said, surprised she didn't stutter. He looked at her. Actually, Hinata, he doesn't like sweets. No? She looked at him surprised. No. Meanwhile, I haven't met a cake I didn't like. He grinned widely at her, making her laugh even more. He found her laugh really cute. I need to make her laugh more. He had noticed that she was always sad before. Not knowing why, he decided to try to get to know her better in order to find out, because knowing her, she probably wouldn't tell him. Hey, you got any siblings? Yes, I have a younger sister. She answered, a little confused. What this all of a sudden? Oh, that's nice. How old is she? What's her name? Hanabi. She's 5 years younger than me. Oh. Do you hang out with her? Doesn't she miss you when you're away? She lowered her head. Yes, we used to play together, but father trains her at home, so we don't have time. Oh. And your mom? What's her name? What's she like? Hitomi. She was the kindest person I have even known. Huh? Was? What do you mean was? She lowered her head even further. She died when I was 5, she replied sadly. Oh. I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have asked, but I just wanted to know what's it like to have a family, he said in a sad tone. Oh, Naruto, I do not think I could answer that question for you. My clan has always disliked me, and my sister does not have time for me, and my father is disappointed in me, so it's like I do not have a family. She felt her eyes sting, but just before the tears could start flowing, she felt Naruto's hand rub her back. Hey, he tried to comfort her. You've got me, right? I'll always have time for you, and I'll never be disappointed in you, believe it. He spoke quietly and softly, rubbing her back with his hand. Her eyes were getting teary. She looked at him and gave him a weak smile. Thank you, Naruto, so much, she sniffed. No problem. He flashed his foxy grin. Now let's devour this buns, huh? He laughed, and she laughed with him. After they finished their treat, they kept talking about each other, about the things they like, hate, their favorite food, colors, drinks, places, their habits, when they get up and go to bed, then animals and flowers and his pranks. They tried to learn as much about each other as they could. Naruto was talking the most and asking all the questions, but Hinata decided to gather the courage and asked him a question. So how is it like to live by yourself? Well, my apartment is really messy, he said straight up, making a funny fake embarrassed face. She giggled. I'm not used to company, so I don't really clean that much. I mean, I don't think I'm a slob, but I mean it can't be that filthy 'cause my plants haven't died yet, they're fine, you know, he trailed off, scratching his neck. She laughed at him. Well, I guess I'll have to visit you sometime. Of course. He agreed, just give me a heads up so I could clean up before you do. Hey. He laughed, scratching the back of his head. Speaking of homes, it's getting late, he said, looking at the now dark sky. Want me to walk you home? She nodded, smiling at him. As they walked, the sky was getting darker and the stars started to appear. Looking at the glimmering sky, they made it to the front gate of the Hyuga compound where Hinata's father was waiting. He glared at Naruto as they both walked up to him and stopped a few feet before him. Who's this mean-looking guy? Naruto wondered. He's staring at me. That looked just like everyone else. You better have a good reason for skipping dinner, Hinata. Hayashi spoke. I'm sorry, father. Father? Naruto's eyes widened slightly. I was with my teammates after our test. We got a little carried away. Teammates? Him? Hayashi looked at Naruto. Naruto remembered Irika telling him about manners, so he decided to be polite. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, sir. It's my fault Hinata got home late, I'm sorry. He bowed. Hinata looked at him in shock. No, Naruto. It is not your fault, you shouldn't take the blame. She put her hand on his shoulder. Hayashi raised an eyebrow at her stutter. I expect you have passed the test, correct? His glare softened. She looked him in the eye. Yes, father. She answered in a serious tone. Good, now come inside, we need to have a talk, Hayashi said, walking away. She looked at Naruto. Thank you for walking me home, I have to go now. I'll see you tomorrow then, night. He smiled. She smiled back and blushed. Good night, Naruto. She walked in, closing the gate behind her. After the door shut, Naruto walked home. I hope she'll be okay. On the other side of the door, Hinata sighed and walked into the compound, following her father to the main room. As they sat on the sofas across from each other, Hayashi spoke. So you have not told me who your other teammate is? Sasuke Uchiha? She answered right away. The Uchiha and the Uzumaki, an interesting combination. Have you heard of Naruto, father? Her lavender orbs met his. Indeed I have, a troublemaker. And I presume he has not given you any problems since he had escorted you back? He is very nice, father. How do you and your team get along? And Naruto is very helpful, but Sasuke is not as approachable, and he and Naruto do not get along so well, but it is only our first day. I am sure our teamwork will get better. Hayashi was surprised at the lack of her stutter, but of course he didn't show it. And your supervisor is? Kakashi Hatake. Very well. He got up and started walking away. If you have activities planned for tomorrow, I suggest you get prepared for bed. Yes, father. She bowed and quickly walked to her room. Hayashi stopped. He turned towards his eldest daughter. Naruto Uzumaki, he continued walking. Perhaps he could be a good influence on her. Hinata woke up early that morning. Despite having had a pleasant sleep, she couldn't get last night's events out of her head. After spending most of the day with her crush, she came home to her father wanting to have a talk with her. Every time he had said that before, that conversation was not pleasant. Usually it meant he wasn't pleased with the progress of her skills. But this time he was calmer than usual, and seemed pleased with her team's situation. She sighed and rolled over, tucking her arm under the pillow, pulling out the silver locket she kept under her pillow. She opened it and looked at the two small pictures inside of it. The picture on the left was of her mother, the person who had always calmed her, but the picture on the right has a complete opposite effect, increasing her heartbeat and making the butterflies in her stomach go crazy. The picture was of her beloved Naruto. The day after Naruto had submitted his ID photo with white and red paint covering his face, the third Hokage made him take the picture again. After walking into the Hokage's office to submit her ID photo, she noticed a few copies of Naruto's photo on his table. Apparently the Hokage made copies of it in case Naruto decided to fool around again. At that very moment, one of the ANBU asked the third to step out of the office, giving her a chance to take one of the copies, which she ultimately decided to put in her mother's locket. It did make her heart race that she literally stole the picture, but she would have passed out before gathering the courage to ask the Hokage himself for the picture. It's been weeks since that happened, and the third didn't seem upset, so she guessed that he didn't even notice. Closing the locket and putting it back under her pillow, she looked towards her window and saw sunlight peeking through the heavy purple curtain. What time is it? She sat up and looked at her clock. Realizing that she was lost in thought longer than she expected, her eyes widened and she quickly got up, made her bed, got dressed in her usual attire, freshened up, packed her gear into a backpack and raced out of her compound so she wouldn't be late for her mission. As she walked towards the meeting spot, she thought she heard a very subtle crinkling noise of the pebbles on the ground, like somebody was trying to sneak up behind her. But just before she could activate her Byakugan, she felt a pair of warm hands gently fold over her eyes. She stopped dead in her tracks and slightly squealed in surprise. Guess who? The person behind her whispered in a soft tone. Oh dear, oh my goodness, she panicked on the inside. She would recognize that sweet voice anywhere. Her cheeks tinted as her stiff body relaxed. And Naruto? He chuckled and let go of her. Yup. He jumped in front of her. Ichiraku's right up ahead. Breakfast? She paled as she realized that she completely forgot about having breakfast this morning and that she would have probably remained hungry for who knows how long if it hadn't been for Naruto, which made her cheeks tint again. Of course. She smiled at him. He smiled back and grabbed her hand once again. Come on. I'm starving. After breakfast, they started walking towards the Hokage's building. So why do you think Sensei told us to pack our gear? Naruto asked her, breaking the silence. Well, it's probably because our mission will take days to complete, she responded quietly, trying her best not to stutter. And it will probably be outside the village, she finished, glancing at him. He beamed, turning his foxy grin towards her. Really? You think we'll be going outside the village? He spoke loudly as their eyes met. You seem excited about that, Naruto? Of course I'm excited. I've never been outside the village before. Huh? How come? Old man Hokage told me to, so I wouldn't get in trouble. I owe him a lot, so I promised I wouldn't. And I always keep my promises. She blushed. What do why you owe him? His smile faltered a little. He took care of me when I was little. He gave me money, food, even my apartment. She looked at him with a worried expression. I'm sorry, I did not mean to sadden you. I shouldn't have asked. She looked at her feet sadly. He patted her shoulder. Nah. That's okay, you can ask me anything you want. He gave her a toothy grin. She smiled back. Thank you? Before they could continue their conversation, they arrived in front of the staircase of the Hokage's building. Sasuke was already there, sitting on the stairs with his hands folded in front of his face. Good morning, Sasuke. Hinata greeted him politely. Yeah, he responded lamely, getting a customary glare from Naruto. Well, now that we are all here, we can head inside, Kakashi said, appearing in a poof of smoke. And how come you're not late? Naruto added, raising an eyebrow. Because our clients cannot wait. Clients? Naruto and Hinata added in union. After realizing what happened, they smiled at each other. Can you read my mind with your Byakugan too? Naruto grinned at her. Or are you reading mine? She added playfully and giggled. Okay, enough with the flirting, let's get going, Kakashi added, making the two blush. After getting in front of the Hokage's office, Kakashi was about to knock when Naruto just let himself into the office, greeting the people inside. Hey, old man. Hey, Iruka-sensei. Sup? Naruto. Kakashi started to scold him. Sarutobi chuckled along with Iruka. Hello, Naruto. I see you're very upbeat this morning. Yeah. Do we have an exciting mission? Are we going outside the village? Who are those clients Sensei talked about? Slow down, let me explain, Sarutobi started. I had more D-rank mission planned for you, babysitting, shopping, and the Lord's cat has escaped again, however. No way. Come on, old man. No more kitty missions, Naruto interrupted. Let me finish, Sarutobi said a little louder and cleared his throat. However, Kakashi thinks you are capable of completing a C-rank mission, so I will give you one. You will be going to the Land of Waves. Their people are building a bridge which is in danger of being damaged by a local gang, and since their land does not have any ninja, they asked us for protection. You will head there immediately. You should reach your destination in 2 days. Understood, Naruto and Hinata said in union once again. Their eyes met, and they laughed. Ugh, Sasuke said and walked out of the office. Those two are pathetic. Kakashi and Hinata bowed and Naruto waved as they exited the office and headed towards the main gate. From there they began walking towards the Land of Waves. Naruto couldn't stand the silence, so he began a conversation with his female teammate. Have you ever been outside the village? He asked. Yes, I went once with my mother to collect flowers for our garden. Naruto nodded but remembered that her mom was a sensitive subject, so he decided to cheer her up with his prank stories. 3 prank stories later, Hinata was a ball of giggling cuteness. Even Kakashi couldn't help but unnoticeably smile under his mask. And then the lady beat the crap out them 'cause she thought the mud was their fault. And they never bullied me again. Ha ha ha. I sure showed 'em. Naruto finished his story. Alright, no more worthless fairy tales. Your screeching voice is so irritating, Sasuke said, annoyed, walking even further away in front of the group. I'm irritating you? Good. Naruto shouted back with a grin, then turned to Hinata again. Oh. I gotta tell you about the time when I snuck a fish into old man Hokage's hat. Or the time I put pepper in his pipe. Hinata's eyes widened. You pranked the Hokage? Wasn't he angry afterwards? Well, of course he was. Have you ever inhaled pepper? He said loudly with a laugh. Oh dear, he, she replied with her hand on her mouth. A few more stories later, the light blue sky was turning into a sunset of blazing red and orange colors. Alright, Kakashi looked up at the sky. We should set up our tent and find firewood while there's still light. We will continue walking early in the morning. The 3 genin agreed. Naruto used his clones to find firewood and to set up the tent Kakashi brought in his backpack. Sasuke used his fireball jutsu to light the fire. As they sat around the fire, they ate the rice balls they brought with them. Kakashi ate them fast while hiding his face behind his Ika book. I'm still hungry, but I don't want to eat nasty ration bars, Naruto protested as he crossed his arms. Sasuke sighed in annoyance. Is it possible that your stomach could be bigger than your mouth? Well, of course it IHUI. Naruto glared at Sasuke, making the connection. Hinata stiffened a giggle, then an idea came to her. If there is a water source nearby, we could catch some fish. Yeah. Great idea, Hinata. You're so smart. She makes up for your loss of brains. Sasuke added, irritated. Naruto growled at him, but his attention went back to Hinata as she located a river a few miles away using her Byakugan. As they got to the river, they decided to catch some fish quickly before the sun went all the way down. Kakashi stayed to guard the campsite and to read his dirty orange book. Idiot, you go in the water and throw the fish above the water level and I will pin them to the tree with my kunai, Sasuke said with a cold tone. Naruto didn't even look at him. Humph. You probably had maids and servants in your great Uchiha clan, but I ain't one of them, so you can't order me around. So shut your mouth and make yourself useful, he said angrily while taking off his sandals and rolling up his pant legs up to his thighs, making Hinata blush a bit. But what made her blush increase was Naruto taking his jacket off along with his shirt, as he slowly got into the river not to scare away any fish. What do you think you're doing, moron? Sasuke was really annoyed now. Shoo! Naruto quickly and loudly shushed him. He leaned forward with his arms positioned just above the water, closing his eyes in concentration. In one swift movement, he dunked both his arms under the water, pulling out a decent-sized fish and throwing it at Sasuke, who quickly caught it right before the fish made contact with his face. Naruto turned to him and smirked, "Start gutting it, moron." He turned back to the water, placing his arms in the same position again, waiting for more fish to swim by. Hinata stood by the river like a statue, watching the way Naruto's muscles moved as he wrestled with the fish. She shook her head and looked away, trying not to faint. Seeing his clothes on the ground, she kneeled down, taking his shirt, neatly folding it, and putting it on a rock nearby. She took his jacket, also folding it. Seeing that both her teammates were distracted, she nuzzled his jacket under her nose, taking a long sniff of Naruto's masculine woodsy smell. She exhaled, sighing dreamily. She put the jacket on the same rock and put the shirt on top of it. After catching enough fish for the four of them, Hinata roasted them above the fire, spicing them with some herbs she found in the woods. Wow! This is delicious, Hinata. One day, you'll make one heck of a wife. Naruto complimented her loudly after taking a few bites of the fish. Kakashi agreed with a nod, and even Sasuke couldn't deny that the fish was pretty tasty, but of course, he didn't show it. Okay, after you're done with your meal, go inside the tent and sleep. Kakashi opened his book again. The earlier you go to sleep, the less you will yawn in the morning. Sasuke got up, not saying a word, and went inside the tent, pulling out his sleeping bag and putting it in the very corner of the tent. Sliding under the cover, he closed his eyes. I hope the idiot doesn't snore. Naruto and Hinata followed. As they got to the tent, Naruto lifted the flap for her. Ladies first, he said quietly, smiling at her. She smiled back and blushed. Leaning forward, she gave his cheek a gentle peck. You're very sweet, she whispered and slipped inside. Oh my goodness! I just kissed him. Eep! She squealed on the inside as she quickly pulled out her sleeping bag, taking off her jacket, sandals and headband she got in it, and pulled her cover over her head. Naruto was still outside the tent, his hand still holding up the flap, his other hand slowly placed on his cheek. His eyes were wide and his face was red. He's never been kissed by a girl before. None of the girls ever paid attention to him. It felt nice. He shook his head, pulling himself together, and got inside the tent. He placed his jacket, sandals and headband next to Hinata's, and he slowly laid down next to her in his own sleeping bag. She was sleeping soundly, wrapped in the cover, her head peeking out of it with her small fists tucked under her chin. He couldn't help but smile at the cute sight in front of him. Watching her sleeping form, he yawned and closed his eyes, falling asleep in seconds. Outside the tent, Kakashi had witnessed the whole scene. As he pulled his face away from his book, he saw the shy Hyuga pull a very audacious move that he thought she would never be capable of. And she also did something else nobody has ever managed to do before. She made the loudest ninja in the village speechless. Well, something tells me that I was right to put these two on a team together. Flashback. It was the day before the team assignments. All of the Jounin and Academy teachers were gathered in the Hokage's office. Kakashi Sarutobi spoke up. You will be in charge of Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha, and Naruto Uzumaki. Kurenai, you will be in charge of Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, and Shino Aburame. Excuse me, Lord Hokage, but I don't think these two teams were well thought out, Kakashi added. Sarutobi blew some smoke out of his pipe. And why is that, Kakashi? I suggest that we switch the two female team members. But Hinata's Byakugan was meant for my tracking squad, Kurenai protested. Yes, but I think she should be on my squad, Kakashi said, earning a frown of confusion from her. Let me explain. Hinata has great potential. Her grades were one of the best ones in her class. But according to Irika, she is very timid and her confidence is very low. Placing her with Naruto will most likely help her, shall I say, get out of her shell. Plus, one more thing Irika told me is that she has gained a liking to the boys, so putting them on different teams would devastate her. Also, putting Sakura and Sasuke together will make her more interested in him than her training, and on top of that she dislikes Naruto. She is also a lot more girly than Hinata, so I think it would benefit her to have a female instructor she can talk to. Do you disagree? Kurenai blinked then shook her head. Good. Sarutobi agreed. I haven't thought of evaluating the mental states of the genin until now, so I reassign Hinata to Team 7 and Sakura to Team 8. Any objections? No one said a word. Then it's settled. He exhaled another puff of smoke. Kakashi, I sure hope you are right about this. End of flashback. A good decision indeed, Kakashi thought as his eye traveled back to the book. Now, where was I? Oh well, since I cannot remember, I guess I'll just start over. He placed his jacket, sandals and headband next to Hinata's, and he slowly laid down next to her in his own sleeping bag. She was sleeping soundly, wrapped in the cover, her head peeking out of it with her small fists tucked under her chin. He couldn't help but smile at the cute sight in front of him. Watching her sleeping form, he yawned and closed his eyes, falling asleep in seconds. But little did he know that she actually wasn't asleep. The reason why she was in such a hurry to get in her sleeping bag was because an immense amount of heat was rushing to her face, her hands were shaking, her lips were trembling, and darkness was starting to fall over her eyes. In other words, she was about to faint. Of course, she always wanted for her crush to notice her and praise her, but this was more than her fluttering heart could take. First she had seen him shirtless, then he told her she would make a great wife, which a small part of her mind translated as his wife, and then she kissed him. She actually kissed him. She never thought he would be such a gentleman, but what on earth made her forget about the simple thank you that she usually goes for when he's nice to her? What made her kiss him on the cheek? What made her not kiss him on the lips? That's what she had been longing for, after all, but if she had, she probably wouldn't have even made it to her sleeping bag. As she started gaining consciousness, the moon was basking the thin material of the tent in its iridescent glow. Her eyes fluttered open, her long dark lashes brushing against her thin eyebrows, and then they widened because the moon helped her see the person who was lightly snoring next to her. As her eyes adjusted to the light, her cheeks flushed at the sight of Naruto's face inches away from hers. He had probably moved closer to her during the night. He was laying on his stomach, both of his arms under the pillow. His cover was over his one leg while the other leg was stretched over the side of Hinata's sleeping bag. She smiled at the sight. Naruto was such a messy sleeper. The entire time she was watching him, she hadn't moved a muscle, afraid that if she made any kind of noise she would wake him up, but she couldn't resist the urge to touch him. He looks so cute when he sleeps. As hyper as he is, it was strange seeing him look so calm. She slowly pulled her arm out of her cover. Her shaky hand reached over and she brushed her fingers over his whiskers. She was surprised that she didn't feel any indentations or bumps. The marks were just there, perfectly smooth. She was mesmerized by the warmth of his skin until he slightly shifted, terrifying her, as she pulled her hand away in such speed that it actually hurt her when she slapped her hand over her mouth, stopping a squeal from leaving her throat. Naruto pulled his arm from under the pillow and scratched his cheek. Letting out a small yawn, he stretched his arm above his head and continued snoring. Hinata quickly but quietly pulled the cover over her head and sighed deeply, trying to calm down her racing heartbeat. Her head peeked out of the cover. He was still asleep. She sighed in relief. I'd better get some sleep too. She shifted, trying to get comfortable, but she kicked Naruto's leg in the process. She froze and her face paled. Naruto groaned and pulled his pillow from under his head and clutched it with his arms. Not wanting that to happen yet again, Hinata moved slightly away from him and curled into a little ball. It was a couple minutes before her eyelids started to feel heavy and sleep finally took her. Hours later, the moon was replaced with the morning sun. Hinata's eyes slowly opened. She lifted her head and saw Sasuke outside the open tent, putting his sleeping bag back into his backpack. She got up as she saw that it was time to get going. Her eyes searched for her jacket, and she found it next to Naruto's jacket. She smiled and got dressed, stealing a few glances at the snoring boy next to her who was clutching his pillow for dear life. She giggled at the sight. I'm guessing that you slept well? Kakashi said, peeking into the tent. She nodded. Good, wake up Naruto so we don't pack him up with the tent, will you? She smiled and nodded again as Kakashi walked away. Then her smile was replaced with a blush as she realized that she has to wake up her crush. She looked at him. Oh dear, how do I do this? She bit her lip as her shaky hands were slowly placed on his shoulder. She jostled him a bit. And Naruto, wake up. Nothing. Naruto, please wake up. She said a little bit louder, shaking him a little harder. He groaned. She sighed. Oh Naruto, okay, wake up. She said even louder. His eyes snapped open. What? He said with a rusty voice, looking at her. We need to get going. Oh. He looked around. You guys are already up? She giggled. You are a heavy sleeper, Naruto. Come on. We don't have time to waste. Sasuke shouted. All right, Mr. Bossy Pants, we're coming. Naruto yelled back, annoyed. After they packed up, they had the leftover fish for a quick breakfast, which thanks to Hinata was still good. They continued their journey to the land of waves. A few more prank stories and arguments later, they finally made it to a small town surrounded with water. In the distance there was an enormous unfinished bridge with workers and cement blocks all over it. After getting in front of the bridge and introducing themselves, an old man with gray hair, glasses and a towel draped around his shoulders walked up to them, introducing himself as Tazuna, the bridge builder, who called them for help, and instead of being polite towards his protectors he insulted them for being kids, which didn't sit well with Naruto. After a thorough explanation of their mission, the four of them divided and went to scout the surroundings. As Naruto walked in the area next to the bridge, he saw a boy with a white hat sitting at the edge of the bridge. Hey! He called out to the boy approaching him, you shouldn't be sitting so close to the edge, it's dangerous. The boy looked at him and looked away again. What do you know about danger? The boy said in a lackluster tone. Oh, I know a lot about danger, Naruto replied. I've been in dangerous situations my whole life. The boy looked at him again. Who are you? Where did you come from? You don't belong here. Naruto kneeled next to him. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, the greatest ninja from the Leaf Village. I was hired to protect the bridge. You're the one Grandpa hired? You're a kid. You should go back where you came from. You don't stand a chance against those guys. You will die just like any other person who gets in their way. The boy got up and yelled at Naruto, then he ran away as tears welled up in his eyes. Geez, what the heck is his deal? Naruto raised an eyebrow. That's Inari, my grandson, Tazuna said, approaching him with a half-empty bottle of sake. Gato, the guy whose thugs mess with the bridge, was the one responsible for the death of his father. He was the hero of this land. Inari never got over it. He explained with sadness in his voice before he tilted the bottle and chugged the rest of the sake. Oh, Naruto looked at the ground. Good thing I didn't yell back. Naruto left and began scouting the wooded area around the bridge, spotting a girl with long black hair and a pink kimono sitting in the clearing. Hey, what are you doing here, lady? This area is not safe, he called out to her. She looked at him and replied, I'm collecting herbs to make medicine. Herbs, huh? He sat next to her, crossing his legs, picking one of the little plants and twisting it between his fingers. So what are you doing here? She asked. I saw you here a while ago, trying to run up a tree. Oh, that? I was training chakra control with my team, so I can get stronger. He grinned at her. Once a person has something precious to protect, that's when they get strong, really strong. She got up, walking away. I have to go, we'll meet again. Oh, by the way, I'm a boy. Naruto squeaked. His jaw dropped along with the plant he had in his hand, and his face paled. There's no way. He's prettier than Sakura. A drop of sweat traveled down his whiskers. I better get back to the bridge. As the night approached, Team 7 was hiding in different locations around the bridge with communication devices. Their guards were up because Tazuna said that most attacks happened during the night, but if people were put on the lookout, they would rather run away than stop the attackers. Guys, Hinata's whisper ran through the hearing devices. I see a group of 6 approaching the bridge from Naruto's side. They are 2 miles away. Got it, Naruto replied. When the thugs got to the bridge, they began sticking paper bombs all over the newly finished support beam that holds the bridge. As they finished and snuck away to the next beam where the genin had moved to wait for them, Kakashi quickly deactivated all of the bombs. The thugs hid behind the other beam as one of them whipped out a kunai, spun it on his finger. Now, he whispered, chuckling evilly. When I hit one of the paper bombs with this kunai, it will explode, creating a chain reaction, activating the other bombs, and boom. He peeked from the beam, aiming his kunai at nothing. Hey! Where'd all the bombs go? Oh, you mean these? Kakashi said as he snuck behind the thugs, surprising them with handfuls of paper bombs. He crumbled them into a ball and threw them in the water. The thugs ran only to be knocked out by Sasuke, Hinata, Naruto, and his clones. Naruto crossed his arms. Heh! Mission complete. He grinned. Sasuke looked at Kakashi. Didn't you say that there are no ninja here? Where did they get kunai and paper bombs? He frowned, crossing his arms. One of the thugs groaned. Well, why don't we ask them? Kakashi looked at the thug who was trying to get on his feet. Looks like your punch wasn't strong enough, huh, Naruto? Sasuke looked at the blonde. Naruto growled, then stomped over to the thug and grabbed him by the neck. I should have just kicked you in the balls. Please, the thug stammered out. Naruto tightened his grip. Who gave you paper bombs? Naruto glared at him. I can't say ugh. The thug groaned as Naruto pressed a kunai to his stomach. You like kunai, don't you? Naruto asked in a mischievous tone. Okay. The thug pleaded quickly. It was Zabuza, he gave them to us. Kakashi's eye widened a tiny bit. Zabuza? As in Zabuza Momochi? Yes, him. Naruto released him and he fell onto the wooden board they were standing on, which the workers built around the beams in case they got damaged again. You know that guy? Sasuke asked Kakashi. Yes, I'll tell you about him later. First, let's take care of these guys. After some threats and punches, the thugs were taken to a town further away from the land of waves where they were put in a prison for a while. Later that morning, Team 7 was having breakfast at Tazuna's house, where Naruto gave Inari a loud and rather mean lesson about courage. After Inari ran off, Kakashi had explained that Zabuza was one of the legendary swordsmen of the mist, and if he heard about the defeat of his thugs, due to his strength and abilities, that would be trouble. They were planning on going back to the Leaf that day since they took care of the problem, but the thugs weren't as pathetic as they thought. After blowing their way out of the prison cell with paper bombs, the thugs ran back to their boss to tell him what happened, even though they knew they were going to be punished. Gato was pissed after finding out about the hired ninja, but discovering they were just kids, he underestimated them, and he sent his most powerful weapon back to the bridge. Zabuza. Team 7 was on their way back home, getting to be one of the first people to walk on the newly finished bridge. Naruto's blue eyes squinted. What's with all the mist? I can't see a thing, he complained, waving his hand in front of his face. Kakashi stopped dead in his tracks. Wait. The genin stopped. Hinata, Kakashi said quickly. Right. Hinata responded, doing a few hand signs. Byakugan, she said loudly as veins flared out of her eyes, covering her cheeks. Whoa! What is that? Naruto looked at her amazed. Quiet, Kakashi spoke. Don't let your guard down. Hinata gasped. Sensei, there is chakra flowing through the mist, and it's getting thicker. They pulled out their kunai, preparing for a fight, when a couple of needles flew towards them, stabbing Naruto and Sasuke in their shoulders. After the mist subsided, they got introduced to Haku as he managed to separate Sasuke and Naruto from Kakashi and Hinata. After what seemed like hours being trapped in Haku's ice mirrors and stabbed with 100 needles, Sasuke's vision blurred and he started falling backwards. Naruto caught him before he hit the ground. Don't let your dream die. Naruto cradled Sasuke as tears began to well up in his eyes. He gently put him on the ground as streams of red chakra flowed out of him. Surrounded by it, he growled while the needles embedded in his body popped out one by one and his wounds started to heal. His hair ruffled, his whiskers thickened, the rim of his eyes and his mouth became black. He snarled, showing his growing canines and claws, and glared at Haku with his now red eyes. I'm gonna kill you! Even his voice became deeper and rustier. Haku's eyes widened behind his mask. He had never felt such power before. And neither did Hinata. A shiver went down her spine as she felt a surge of chakra coming from the now shattered ice mirrors. She saw Sasuke on the ground and Haku slowly getting on his feet as his broken mask slipped off of his face, so the chakra must have come from Naruto. But before she could get a closer look, the chakra faded away. That guy in the woods, that was you? Naruto panted and moved his fist away from Haku's face. Moments later, Haku collapsed on the ground with a hole in his chest from Kakashi's Chidori. After Zabuza had disobeyed him, Gato went looking for him, only to get himself killed and thrown off of the bridge by his most powerful weapon. Hinata kneeled over Sasuke's body and started pulling the needles out. Her Byakugan confirmed that he was alive but unconscious. On the other side of the bridge, all of Gato's thugs gathered, hitting and stabbing Zabuza until his lifeless body fell next to Haku's. On the opposite side of the bridge, all of the people from the town tormented by Gato and his men gathered with pitchforks, sticks, knives and other weapons they could find, with Tazuna and Inari in the front. Heh! One of the thugs laughed. How do you think you could defeat us? He mocked, looking at the citizens. You're weak and outnumbered. Oh yeah? Naruto yelled, making a hand sign, and then yelled even louder. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. And with that, the whole half of the bridge was covered in shadow clones. The clones grinned as they cracked their knuckles one by one. The terrified thugs gulped loudly and began running away, tripping over one another. Whoa! Inari exclaimed. That's amazing! He wasn't the only one impressed. So Irika wasn't exaggerating after all, Kakashi thought. Naruto! Hinata called out to him. Naruto turned around and his eyes widened. The clones disappeared in a large cloud of smoke as Naruto started tearing up, looking in Hinata's direction where Sasuke was standing. He waved towards him. Naruto sniffed. He's alive, he whispered. After burying Zabuza and Haku, Team 7 made to leave, but there was one last problem was solved. So Inari's mother spoke up. Now that the bridge is finished, what are we going to name it? Tazuna thought for a moment. I think I have the perfect name. It's going to be called the Great Naruto Bridge. Team 7 was miles away from the bridge as they said goodbye to Inari, Tazuna and the rest of the people after completing their mission, but even after miles of walking, Naruto couldn't stop thinking about what Tazuna said after they started walking away. They were further away, but he could still hear it. The Great Naruto Bridge, he repeated, his voice barely above a whisper. Are they really going to name it after me? I thought that was the reason why you've been so quiet, Kakashi replied. And yes, I think they are. You are their hero after all. He gave Naruto his one-eyed smile. Naruto gave a grin and an uncharacteristic blush as he scratched the back of his head. Sasuke's jaw clenched. What happened to the dead last? But I mean, that was nothing. Naruto scratched his cheek. I only scared the bad guys away, nothing special, he trailed off. Exactly, Kakashi added. And because of you they won't cause any more trouble. Also, everyone seemed really impressed with your shadow clones. Something in Sasuke snapped, but he tried to stay calm. That's probably because they don't have any ninja, so they've never seen a jutsu like that before, he said arrogantly. That might be the case, but nonetheless it is impressive that you could master such a jutsu. Naruto blushed even more and chuckled awkwardly, making Hinata giggle. He was obviously not used to compliments. Then if it's so impressive, why won't you teach it to me? Sasuke asked through his clenched teeth. Because you don't have enough chakra. You probably won't manage to make more than 2 without passing out from exhaustion, Kakashi calmly explained. Sasuke growled in rage, stopping in front of his sensei. Then how come the loser learned it? Just because you labeled me as a loser doesn't mean I really am one, Naruto yelled back, then his expression became serious. You know what? He stopped in front of Sasuke and his blue orbs met the onyx ones. Back there on the bridge when I thought you were dead I actually cried for you, and when you told me not to let my dream die I thought that we could have been friends. But since you still don't acknowledge me until we could be friends, we'll have to stay rivals. He grinned. Then we'll just have to see who becomes stronger. Sasuke agreed with a rare smirk. You're on. Naruto's grin became wider. Alright. He looked up at his sensei. You two can talk about a new jutsu for Mr. Know-It-All, cause he actually doesn't know it all, while Hinata and I go on ahead so I can tell her about the time I covered my landlord's backyard in toilet paper. He finished loudly, hooking Hinata's arm with his and pulling her away. Your landlord? She giggled. With toilet paper? You didn't. She put her hand over her mouth. Well, he's full of shit so he needs it, Naruto replied jokingly, making Hinata laugh. Naruto, behave. She gently scolded him. He laughed and softly nudged her shoulder. Her arm was still wrapped around his, tightening the grip. She faced him as she carefully listened to his story, giggling here and there. He was waving his free hand around and making faces and noises, trying to make his story as funny as possible. He's always done that, exaggerating whatever he did to make people around him laugh. His personality is amazing. Even though he grew up surrounded by hate and sadness, he became such a cheerful and hyperactive person instead of being depressed. He didn't let other people affect his goal of being happy. She didn't know how could somebody who didn't have any friends develop such a sense of humor. But she was glad. That is one of many, many reasons why she admires him so much. And then he went to the old man Hokage and complained about the toilet paper, but because he couldn't prove that it was me, old man dismissed it. Haha. He laughed as he finished his story. Hinata laughed with him. It is quite impressive how you always get away with mischief like that, she commented. I know, right? He faced her. And guess what? That wasn't the only reason why I got away with it. Old man thought it was funny. And he thought my landlord deserved it cause he tried to kick me out once, after I threw water balloons at his dog cause it was barking all damn night, and I couldn't freaking sleep. He gave her a fake angry pout, and she laughed again. And then she blushed. His pout was so cute. Everything about him was so Kakashi's voice interrupted her thoughts. I think we should make camp. Naruto looked towards the sky, which was now covered with shades of red and purple. Already? He said, confused, releasing Hinata's arm to her dismay and scratching his head. Man, time flies, right, Hinata? He smiled at her. She nodded, surprised as well. Okay, Sasuke can put up the tent. Hinata and I will go catch some fish, he declared. Hinata located a river nearby, and they started walking towards it. Sasuke was irritated. Hey, you can't just. What the huh? Can't hear ya. Naruto interrupted loudly, pulling a laughing Hinata along. Leave him alone, Kakashi added calmly, looking at Sasuke. You don't want to gut the fish again, do you? Sasuke turned away and began to work on the tent. When the two got to the river, Naruto caught the fish using the same approach like last time, including getting half naked to Hinata's pleasure. But this time there were no big rocks to hide behind, so she nuzzled his jacket over her nose, hiding her tomato-red face from him. He just doesn't realize the effect that has on her. After they got back with the fish, the fire was already lit, and the tent was in place. An amazingly tasty meal later, the genin were in their sleeping bags in the tent. Sasuke was in the corner of the tent again, while Hinata and Naruto were next to each other. Hinata was on her side facing him while he was on his back, his arms crossed behind his head. Ah, he sighed. I can't wait to get back to the village. Shut it, I'm trying to fall asleep before you start to snore, Sasuke interrupted, annoyed. Naruto grinned mischievously, then he let out an exaggerated and really loud snore. Hinata burst out laughing, covering her head with her cover, trying not to make too much noise. He looked at her, chuckling. Sure, he's trying to get his beauty sleep, he whispered, but loud enough to get on his rival's nerves. She giggled. You're so silly. You know you like it. He teased her. She blushed. I do, she thought. I really do. After the laughter died down, the three of them were soundly asleep while Kakashi was outside next to the fire going through a page of his little orange book with a perverted giggle. The next morning, Team 7 were packed and on their way. They were getting close to the village, so they decided not to bother to catch breakfast. Naruto was getting excited to be back and to finally have some ramen, so he was strangely quiet. Hinata was stealing glances at his funny thinking face, and she was quiet as well, deciding not to disrupt his thoughts. Meanwhile, Sasuke's eyes were focused on his female teammate. What on earth does she see in him? She was the first girl who wasn't trying to ask him out every time her mouth opened, she wasn't drooling over him, she wasn't trying to flirt with him, heck, she didn't even pay any attention to him. And even thought he wanted his fangirls to leave him alone for years. Out of all the people she could have gone for, why the loser? The fact that any other girl would die to be this close to the Uchiha genius and Hinata couldn't care less, he found it kind of offensive. But before he could get angrier and before Naruto started to drool over his ramen musings, Kakashi spoke, pulling them out of their thoughts. I'll report to the Hokage, you three get your pay and then you're dismissed until next week. This mission was enough excitement for now, so I'm giving you a few days off. Naruto raised a brow, then he looked up ahead, seeing the Leaf's main gate. Alright. Finally! He cheered, throwing his fists in the air. Last one, there's a rotten egg! He yelled out, speeding off towards the gate. Sasuke speed off right after him. Wait for me. Hinata squealed as she tried to catch up. Oh well, Kakashi quickly joined them. Izumo and Kotetsu were at the gate as usual when they saw an orange blur approaching, followed by 3 more blurs. Naruto stopped in front of the gate. I'm first. Sasuke interrupted, standing next to him with his hands in his pockets. What? No way! Naruto objected. Hinata landed next to him, catching her breath. Ha! It looks like Sensei's the rotten egg. He laughed. Did somebody say my name? Kakashi replied from behind the gate beam, lowering the book that was in front of his face, surprising the genin. Huh? How'd you get here so fast? Naruto asked, dumbfounded. How'd you not? Kakashi replied calmly. Naruto opened his mouth, then closed it again. Humph. He pouted and turned his head away, making Hinata smile. Sasuke didn't say a word, his expression was hidden behind his high collar. Alright then, let's go report to the Hokage. Kakashi spoke, putting away his book. After a long report, the genin were given their pay and dismissed. Kakashi stayed behind. Is there something else, Kakashi? Hiruzen asked. Yes, there is. I had left something out. Kakashi answered seriously. I believe Naruto's seal has weakened. The Hokage's eyes widened. And how did you come to that conclusion? he asked a bit louder. While he was fighting Haku, some of the fox's chakra leaked out. It took over Naruto's body, I could feel it. Kakashi explained. And did something happen prior to that? Something that would cause such a reaction? Well, I believe Naruto thought Sasuke had died. Hiruzen sighed in relief. There is nothing to worry about, the seal hasn't weakened. Pardon? Kakashi was a bit confused. Hiruzen smiled. You see, the only thing that could cause the fox's chakra to envelope his body is a highly emotional event, so that even that little drop of power can relieve the jailer's anger. Naruto will be okay. Thank you, sir. Kakashi bowed. Is there something else you left out? No, sir. Kakashi answered. Then, if that's all, you are free to go. After the genin were dismissed, they were walking through the hallway when Naruto spoke. Hey, I'm craving ramen so much right now. Wanna come, Hinata? He looked at her eagerly. She smiled. Sure. Sasuke, would you like to come as well? Yeah, whatever, Sasuke answered lamely. Alright then, Ichiraku's it is. Naruto pumped his fist in the air. Race you there. I'm starving, he said loudly and ran down the hallway with Hinata and Sasuke catching up to him. After a few minutes they finally got to Ichiraku. Naruto was about to rush in, but then he remembered something. He smiled at Hinata, lifting the flap and once again saying, Ladies first. Hinata blushed and her heart fluttered, and then she remembered something too. What? You want another kiss? She teased him, blushing even more. Maybe be, Naruto teased back, looking away. Ugh, Sasuke rolled his eyes and walked in, taking a seat. Naruto looked at Sasuke's back with an annoyed expression, then stuck his tongue out. Hinata giggled, walking past Naruto, taking a seat next to Sasuke. Naruto sat next to her and pouted. You owe me a kiss, he said quietly with a smirk. Hinata smiled, giving his whiskers a gentle kiss. You owe me too. She smiled and blushed at the surprised expression on his face. He was glad she wasn't as timid as she used to be. All the fainting couldn't have been good for her health. Man, I'm rubbing off on you, aren't I? He asked with a proud grin. Hopefully not too much, Sasuke added. Before Naruto fired back at his teammate Ayam, and Tuchi came from the back of the shop carrying clean bowls. Ah, my favorite customer. Long time no see, kid. Tuchi smiled at them. Yeah, I missed you guys. Believe it, Naruto replied happily. Tuchi chuckled. I've met the pretty one. Tuchi looked at the blushing Hinata and then his eyes went towards Sasuke. But you don't look familiar. This is Sasuke, old man, my other teammate, Naruto said, not so enthusiastically. Ah, so you're the one? Tuchi exclaimed. What would you like? A big bowl of pork ramen. I would like miso ramen, please. Hinata ordered politely as always. I'll have beef, Sasuke ordered calmly. So Tuchi started. By the dirt on your clothes and by the fact that you didn't come here for almost a week, I can tell you were on a mission. Yep, Naruto replied with his mouth full. And it wasn't a lame one this time. He swallowed. So there were these morons who were messing with this really huge bridge that we needed to protect, and we ended up kicking their asses. And we also made some friends. I'd like to visit them again sometime. Maybe you guys can come too. Tuchi chuckled again and ruffled Naruto's hair. Why not? Plus we need to see that really huge bridge, huh? Yeah, the Great Naruto Bridge is awesome. Naruto's foxy grin was wider than ever. Ayam and Tuchi were surprised. Excuse me? Ayam leaned closer to the blonde. The uncharacteristic blush was back on Naruto's face. Yeah, that's what they named it. He grinned cockily, putting a hand on his chin. It has a nice ring to it, don't you think? Tuchi smiled while Ayam and Hinata giggled. It sure does, Ayam agreed. While Naruto continued chatting with the two, Sasuke was slowly slurping the broth from his bowl. Naruto was the star of the mission, so he was surprised that he didn't mention the time when he passed out, figuring he'd love to brag about having more energy than the praised Uchiha. As the meal was coming to an end, Naruto chugged the remains of his 10th bowl. The rotten egg pays for all of this, right? Sasuke looked at the blonde. Naruto looked at his rival. You're yoking, right? Hinata burst out laughing, but she quickly stopped as she realized that all attention was on her. Ayam and Tuchi looked at her in surprise before laughing themselves. Hinata shrunk in her seat, twiddling with her fingers. Naruto did end up paying for the meal. After saying goodbye, they got up, but after a few steps, they stopped. So, Naruto awkwardly shoved his hands in his pockets. What do we do now? I'm going back to my compound to train so that I can put you in your place next time we spar. Sasuke started walking away. Later, he was stopped by a shout of, "Hey, Sasuke?" Sasuke stopped, turning to face the blonde. Maybe we could hang out sometime? You know, work on our teamwork. Naruto smiled at his rival, earning a nod from him as he started walking away again. Hinata blushed as Naruto turned towards her. So what do we do now? Hinata's cheeks tinted, but then she looked down sadly. I'm sorry, Naruto. I would love to spend time with you, but I need to report to my father, and I really need a shower tea too. Oh, he was disappointed. Hey, how about this? I'll walk you home, and after we both get cleaned up we can meet so we can spend the day together, okay? She perked up, lifting her head to meet his gaze. I would love to. She smiled. Sweet. He grinned. Speaking of sweets, we can get some cinnamon buns again. Yes. She agreed happily and loudly. Naruto looked at her surprised, and she quickly put her hands over her mouth. He laughed. You get as excited over cinnamon rolls as I get excited over ramen. She giggled, looking away, but once she turned her head back towards him, his hand was stretched towards her. Come on, you don't want to keep your father waiting, he said with a rare gentle smile which made her melt. Why, yes. She stammered out, taking his hand. Once their fingers were intertwined, he squeezed her hand, making her whole body tingle with delight. The feeling of holding his hand was the best thing she has ever felt. The warmth from his hand spread throughout her whole body, making her feel safe and happy. She wished that he would never let go, but sadly he had to once they got to the Hyuga compound. But her sadness was gone as Naruto took a step towards her. She looked in his eyes. The pools of blue were so deep, the perfect shade of blue. She froze as she felt his warm lips press softly against her cheek. Once his lips left her red cheek, they were placed on her forehead as he gave her another gentle kiss. He pulled back, looking at her pearly eyes that were now wide, and smiled. You said I owe you too, right? She froze as she felt his warm lips press softly against her cheek. Once his lips left her red cheek, they were placed on her forehead as he gave her another gentle kiss. He pulled back, looking at her pearly eyes that were now wide, and smiled. You said I owe you too, right? She was in pure bliss. Her whole body shook. She was speechless. She thought that holding hands with him was magical, but feeling his lips on her cheek and her forehead was better than anything she has ever experienced in her life. Before she could think about what to say, because Naruto was looking at her concerned because she's just been standing there not saying a thing, a man's voice broke the spell she was in. Lady Hinata, welcome back. Hinata's caretaker walked up to them. Hinata looked at him, still flushed. Oh, thank you, Ko. She bowed. Ko looked at Naruto with curiosity. Naruto met his gaze. Hi, nice to meet you, he said awkwardly. Uzumaki, right? Ko asked calmly. Hyuga, right? Naruto responded with a slight smile. Ko chuckled, then looked at Hinata. Lord Hayashi is expecting you. Yes. Right away. Hinata replied nervously, then looked back at her crush. I have to go, Naruto. Meet me as soon as you can next to the same tree we sat under last time, okay? He smiled at her. Yes, I will see you later. Naruto winked at her, making her blush return, then started to walk away. She rushed inside the compound. As she was getting closer to her father's study, the knot in her stomach became tighter, her palms started to sweat, and her steps became slower. Eventually, she was standing in front of the door, and just as she lifted her shaky hand to knock. Come in. Her father's voice could be heard from the other side of the door. She gently slid the door open and walked inside, closing the door behind her. Their pupil-less silver eyes met. I have received the mission report from Lord Hokage. Well done, Hinata. What? Has she heard that right? Did he just praise her? She stared at her father. Her parted lips quivering, her eyes wide, her hands were clutching the hem of her jacket. That expression was so unladylike, especially for a Hyuga. But her father didn't respond to it. But he did respond to the state of her appearance. Your outfit is rather filthy, I suggest you change. Dismissed. Why, yes. She bowed and left the study, and the further away she got from it, the faster she walked. She rushed to her room and quickly got clean clothes. Black pants similar to the ones she was currently wearing, a lilac shirt, and a gray and yellow jacket she used to wear before she graduated the academy. After a quick but thorough bath in the Hyuga hot springs, she was sure she was clean enough for her crush. She rushed back to her room and brushed her freshly dried hair. She got up and walked to the door, putting her hand on the knob. She stopped. She turned towards her vanity and bit her lip in thought. She walked towards it and opened one of the drawers, pulling out a bottle of her favorite lavender perfume. She sprinkled a little bit of it on her, put it back in the drawer and headed out the door. Meanwhile, on the other side of the village, Naruto was in his bathroom, drying himself from his shower, looking in the mirror. Why did he suddenly get an urge to brush his hair? He never does that anyways, why now? He was just going to meet Hinata, his teammate, and the first girl who kissed him, and the first girl who was nice to him, and the first girl who wanted to spend time with him. Oh boy. Why do I feel so funny? He asked his reflection. Maybe I should brush my hair just a little. The conversation with his reflection continued. Would she be surprised if I didn't wear orange for once? He stopped talking to himself and thought for a bit. Yeah. He grinned. He went to his bedroom and rummaged through his closet. HHA. He grinned, pulling out a light blue shirt with a red swirl on the front. He paired it with black shorts. He stuffed Gamachan, his frog-shaped wallet, in his pocket along with his key. After he locked the door, then he bounced off towards the Konoha Park. In the Konoha Park, Hinata was sitting under their tree fidgeting with her fingers, thinking about her eventful day. Her father finally acknowledged her. On top of that, the wonderful kisses. She closed her eyes and leaned back on the tree. Naruto, she whispered dreamily and blushed. She squealed slightly as she pinched her forearm. Was this really happening? He ignored her for years at the academy, even though that was partially her fault for not having enough courage to talk to him, but now she could feel a bit of his confidence inside her own soul. She had almost stopped stuttering, not even realizing it, and she hasn't fainted ever since she kissed him that night in front of the tent. When she was with him, she would forget about everything else and focus purely on him. His voice, his laugh, his smile, his touch, his warmth, his eyes. And just as she thought her day couldn't get any better, she was about to spend the whole day with him again. As soon as he shows up, her problems will be forgotten. Her clan, her father. Oh, her father wouldn't approve of Naruto, would he? As a member of the main branch of the Hyuga clan, she was supposed to marry a successful, noble man. And yet, the wallflower has fallen for a bad boy. Naruto doesn't fit her family's standards at all, but that's exactly what she likes about him. She didn't want a rich, emotionless husband, she wants to be loved. And when Naruto said he would always be there for her, she knew he meant it. So if she wants to always be there for him, she needs to stop acting like a time bomb around him, ready to explode as soon as he got near her. She needs him, and he needs her too. He didn't deserve to be lonely. Thankfully, now that he has her, Sensei, and even Sasuke, he won't be lonely ever again. She inhaled the fresh air and opened her eyes again, only to see someone approaching her in the distance. She narrowed her eyes to see who it is and blinked rapidly as she recognized the figure. It was Naruto. The closer he got, the wider her eyes became. His wild spikes were slightly tamer, and there was no trace of orange on his clothes. She had never seen him like that before. And he had never seen her like this before. She wasn't wearing her baggy jacket, but a slightly more fitted one, making her figure more apparent, and making the blonde blush. Once he got to her, he smiled and stretched out his hand. She smiled back and took it, and he pulled her up on her feet. Let's go get some cinnamon buns and we can come back here, okay? He suggested. She nodded in agreement. After walking to a nearby bakery, purchasing their treats, they walked back to the tree and finished their buns with a light conversation, admiring their peaceful surroundings. It was very convenient that there weren't many people in the park when they decided to hang out there. Hinata was glad about that because she needed to be alone with him in order to answer a question that has been on her mind ever since they finished their mission in the Land of Waves. She couldn't wait any longer. There's no way to tell if she will be able to be alone with him again anytime soon, so she didn't want to waste her chance. She gulped, clutching the hem of her jacket. Naruto? She stammered out quietly. Yeah? He looked at her with a slight smile. She got even more nervous. When you were fighting Haku, a red chakra came out of you. His heart skipped beat and he gulped, mortified. She saw the terrified expression on his face but decided to continue. That sea chakra, it was incredibly strong, so strong that it was visible to the human eye. His hands started to sweat, and a chill ran down his spine. Here it comes the question he did not know how to answer. What was that, Naruto? She faced his horrified expression. I am its eye. His mouth opened and closed a few times. She shifted, sitting in front of him, putting her hands on her lap. Please, Naruto. You told me I could ask you anything. Please answer, she begged. That chakra was horrible, and if it's hurting you, she trailed off as a few tears ran down her cheeks. She felt Naruto quickly place his hands over hers. Looking up, their eyes met. It's not hurting me, it's nothing, you don't have to worry about it, he answered in a shaky voice. Please do not lie to me, I can see it in your eyes, you were scared just now, please. Even more tears came. He sighed, closing his eyes and looking away from her. Okay, tell me, what do you know about the nine-tailed fox? She blinked away the tears, confused. I do not, what does that have to do with? Please answer, he interrupted in a serious tone. It was killed 13 years ago, that's all I know. Do you know when? He gripped her hands a bit tighter as his started to shake. It was on your birthday, she stammered out almost inaudibly. His eyes went wide. How do you know that? He asked slowly. Because it is your birthday, after all, she blushed, and her blush was mirrored on Naruto's cheeks too. He almost smiled, but the knot in his stomach tightened as he decided to continue. It was a lie, Hinata. What was? She felt his hands shaking. The fox wasn't killed, it was too strong, so it had to be sealed. His head was dropping lower with each sentence. In a newborn. Oh, gee God, she whispered as all the pieces came together. That's why the villagers dislike him, that is why. Now, before you run off in fear, I gotta tell you something. This is an S-rank secret, so you can't tell anyone, so please don't. I don't want anything to happen to you. He let go of her hands and turned away sadly. He closed his eyes, and just as tears started to sting, he felt her fingers trace over his whiskers. That does explain these, though, Hinata said softly. He opened his eyes and slowly looked at her. She put her hands on top of his. I do not hate you, Naruto, and I never will. You are so sweet and kind. I know you would never hurt me. I know you would never hurt anyone. The villagers do not know you, but I do. You are an amazing person, you're generous and cheerful. You never give up and you always keep your promises. No matter how hard you fail, you always get up again. That is what I see when I look at you. I do not see the fox. I do not see claws or a tail, let alone 9 of them. I do not care what anyone else thinks, I will always be your friend. A tear has escaped from Naruto's eye and was quickly whipped away by his hand. He smiled and looked at her. Thanks, Hinata, that means so much to me. He enveloped her in a hug. You're the best. No need to thank me, Naruto, she whispered softly, her voice a little muffled as her mouth was pressed against his shoulder. He slowly broke the hug and they grinned at each other. So what do we do now? He scratched his neck. How about we just take a walk? She suggested. Sure. He got up and pulled her up on her feet. As they were quietly walking, Hinata decided to break the silence. Naruto? Yeah? Have you always known about the F-Fox? She asked, a little scared, hoping that she didn't offend him in some way. Actually, no. She looked at him. I found out on the day I graduated. Oh? She exclaimed. How? I mean, how did you graduate? Why, you had failed the T-test, so I'm really glad you passed. It's just that she trailed off, fidgeting with her fingers, hoping that he didn't get her wrong. Well, he started. After I failed, Mizuki came up to me. Mizuki-sensei? She asked, surprised. I don't think you should call him that. She gave him a confused look. Let me finish. He smiled at her and continued. He came up to me and told me that there is a secret way to graduate. He told me to steal this scroll and learn a jutsu from it, then show it to Irika-sensei, and he would let me pass. But it turned out that it was a sacred scroll with forbidden techniques, and the reason he wanted me to steal it is because he wanted the power for himself. She was shocked. Her own sensei? But he thought that I was so stupid that I wouldn't be able to learn a jutsu from it, but I did. Believe it! And then Irika-sensei found me. It's weird cause he was the only one who managed to find me when the Jonin chased me after my pranks. But when he did, Mizuki showed up and attacked him. And then he told me about the fox and that Irika-sensei hated me. Just like everyone else, his voice became sad but was quickly replaced with a foxy grin. But then Irika-sensei said some nice things about me and that he cared about me, so I ended up kicking Mizuki's but with my clone jutsu. He pumped his fist in the air as he finished his story. Wow! She exclaimed with admiration and surprise. But wait, your multi-shadow clone jutsu was the forbidden jutsu from the scroll. Yep. That's why no one else knows it. He flexed his arm proudly. That's very cool, Naruto, she said softly. Naruto blushed and scratched the back of his head with an awkward chuckle, making her giggle. But their moment was interrupted as they heard an argument in the close distance. Looking up, they saw teammate Sakura, Shino, and Kiba. Sakura and Kiba were yelling at each other while Shino just shook his head in annoyance. I mean, you're a mutt, so chasing a cat shouldn't have been so hard for you, she yelled. Then if you're so much better, why didn't you catch it? Kiba yelled back. Akamaru barked in agreement. Their argument continued until they crossed paths with Hinata and Naruto. The two noticed they had some scratches on their arms and faces. Kiba and Sakura barely recognized Naruto without his orange jumpsuit. Hey guys, let's go. No, I will not go on a date with you, Sakura yelled out, rudely interrupting Naruto. That's not what he waved his hands in front of him. Just leave her alone, dude, she's in a bad mood. Kiba shook his head while Akamaru whined. But I never mind, Naruto sighed. So what happened to you guys? He pointed at the scratch on Kiba's nose. It's the Fire Lord's cat, that thing is impossible. I mean, we did catch it, but damn. Tell me about it, Naruto added. It took us 3 hours to catch her, but you guys look worse than we did. Then if you showed a better ability of capturing Tora, I suggest you take the task next time. Shino joined the conversation. Nope, not doing it again, not anytime soon anyway, we have a couple days off, Naruto explained. Hinata nodded in agreement. How'd you get days off? Kiba wondered. Well, we just came back from a C-rank mission. Naruto scratched his cheek. How did you get a C-rank so soon? It must be because Sasuke is on your team. Sakura crossed her arms. How did the idiot get a C-rank mission before us? She turned to Shino but then turned to Hinata as she spoke. Because he's not an idiot. That was a surprisingly clear sentence for the usually tongue-tied Kunoichi. Sakura looked at her surprised. Whatever. She flipped her hair. Naruto was fed up with her rudeness. He was used to her being rude to him, but he wouldn't let her be rude to his teammate. No wonder Sasuke doesn't like you, let's go, Hinata, he said calmly, grabbing Hinata's arm and dragging her away. See you guys later, he added before walking away. Those words hit Sakura like 1,000 bricks. She froze as she repeated them in her head. Naruto was always nice to her, she didn't think that he would ever say something like that. That's what you get for yelling at him for no reason. Kiba started walking. Shino followed. I think we have wasted enough time. We are required to report to Kurenai-sensei for training. Sakura followed, her head facing the ground and her hands clutching her dress. Alright, her throat suddenly felt very dry. Hinata and Naruto weren't in the park anymore. They were walking down the somewhat quiet street. He walked silently with his hands in his pockets. Naruto? Hinata whispered in concern. Are you okay? You're wrong, Hinata. Huh? She was very confused. About what? I am an idiot, I can't believe I liked her. You are so silly, and so is she just needs to get to know you. Like that's ever gonna freaking happen. But as she was about to put her hand on his shoulder and comfort him, there was an explosion on the other side of the village. They simultaneously looked in the direction of the explosion to see a large cloud of black and gray smoke rise into the sky. What the heck was that? Naruto shouted, looking at the smoke. I will check. Byakugan. Her eyes widened and her mouth opened as she pinpointed the source of the explosion. She let out a small scream. Oh no! Her Byakugan deactivated as she started to shake. Naruto put his hands on her shoulders and looked at her in concern. What? What is it? The explosion came from the Hyuga compound. There was an explosion on the other side of the village. They simultaneously looked in the direction of the explosion to see a large cloud of black and gray smoke rise into the sky. What the heck was that? Naruto shouted, looking at the smoke. I will check. Byakugan. Her eyes widened and her mouth opened as she pinpointed the source of the explosion. She let out a small scream. Oh no! Her Byakugan deactivated as she started to shake. Naruto put his hands on her shoulders and looked at her in concern. What? What is it? The explosion came from the Hyuga compound. What? He screamed. Come on, we gotta check it out. He grabbed her hand and they ran in the direction of the explosion. The closer they got, the more the cloud disappeared as some Jonin and A and B were putting out the fire with water jutsu. As the cloud disappeared completely, the damage became apparent. Half the compound was in pieces, completely burned and charred from the fire. The roof was now a pile of burnt wood and roof tiles, the walls were mountains of rocks, and all the stuff inside the compound, the furniture, the weapons, the windows were in pieces scattered all over the place. Hinata's tear-filled eyes were drawn towards what used to be her room. She watched in disbelief as the ash flaked from the remains of her bedside table. Lady Hinata! She turned to face Ko, who ran in her direction, stopping in front of her. Ko! What happened? She cried out. It appears that an exploding device was somehow placed in the compound. We're still investigating, Ko answered in an upset tone. Hanabi, father, everyone, as she stammered out. Do not worry. Ko put a hand on her shoulder. Everyone is safe, there were no casualties. She sighed in relief and wiped her tears. Thank goodness, Naruto whispered, also relieved. What now? Hinata looked in the direction of the remains of her bed and gasped, suddenly remembering something. Running into the ashes and jumping over what's left of her window frame, she frantically started to dig under the chunks of the wall. Lady Hinata! What are you doing? That might not be safe, Ko warned. She didn't listen, she just kept rummaging through the pieces of her mattress. A tear escaped her eye and she sighed in relief once more as she found what she was looking for. Rubbing the dirt off of her mother's locket, which had thankfully survived the blast, she put it in her pocket and wiped the tear away with her elbows, since her hands were now black from the charred wood. Ko ran up to her, giving her a handkerchief to wipe her hands. He was quickly joined by Naruto, who slowly started walking through the burned, wet mess. He looked at his teammate, who was sadly looking around the clustered bits of furniture. She walked up to what used to be her closet, trying to pull open the crockett door, only to have it break off and almost fall on top of her. Naruto ran up to her and quickly grabbed the door, placing it on the ground. As Naruto saw the still nicely folded clothes inside of it, he gulped as he realized where he was standing. This was your room? Why, yes, she whimpered. Well, it looks like the closet protected your stuff, huh? Yes, I'm so glad. She gave him a light smile, which quickly disappeared as her gaze turned towards her charred vanity. The mirror was shattered and the pieces were everywhere, mixing with the pieces of glass from her window. Then she remembered the question Naruto asked earlier, what now? She looked at her caretaker as he walked up to her. Lady Hinata, I will bring you a suitcase from the undamaged half of the compound. You should pack up what you can salvage. Then you will have to accommodate somewhere else while the compound is being repaired. He explained like he had read her mind. It will take a long time, of course. But I will make sure that your room is made to look better than before. Thank you, Ko? Her posture relaxed. He nodded and ran to the other side of the compound. Big sister. A girl's voice made her perk up a bit. As she turned around, she saw her father and her sister, who was running up to her. Hanabi wrapped her arms around her sister's waist, nuzzling her head into her abdomen. Are you all right, Hanabi? Yes, are you? She looked up at her sister. Hinata nodded. Who is he? She whispered, pointing towards Naruto. He looks familiar, she observed. Naruto noticed her looking at him, so he walked up to the two kneeling down in front of the girl. Hi, I'm Naruto. You must be Hanabi. Hinata told me about you. He introduced himself calmly. Naruto? Wait. Flashback. Hanabi was walking through the village with her caretaker. It seemed like a peaceful day, until... Hey you! Get out of here, you little pest! A man shouted angrily. Hanabi looked over, seeing an angry man standing above a boy with blonde hair who was sitting on the ground. I was just looking at the masks you have. The boy turned his head away sadly. The man, apparently the shop owner, looked at the masks hanging from a display hanger, angrily grabbed one and threw it at the boy, hitting him on the head. Here, take it. Now get lost! He yelled angrily and stomped back into his shop. The boy looked around, seeing the cold stares of the people around him who were watching the whole thing without moving a finger. What are you staring at? Stop looking at me like that! He cried out, grabbing the mask and running away. Let's go. Hanabi's caretaker pulled her along, and she hasn't seen the boy since. End of flashback. Until now. That was him, she realized. He has grown. She looked into his blue eyes. Why are you here? Oh, I'm your sister's teammate. I was with her when this happened. Naruto smiled at her. Lady Hinata? Ko interrupted them. He handed the suitcase to Hinata, then gently put his hand on Hanabi's shoulder. He looked at Hayashi as he spoke. Come, Hanabi. Let us check your room for damage. Yes, father. And with that they walked away, leaving Naruto and Hinata alone. He looked at her. You need help? Thank you. She smiled at him before turning around and walking up to her vanity. She opened the drawers, taking out the items and putting them in the suitcase. She blushed as she saw Naruto carefully pack her clothes, trying to keep it nicely folded. She distracted him while she quickly shoved her undergarments in the suitcase, hiding them under her beige ninja jacket, which was washed while she was at the park. Once they got everything they could, she zipped up the suitcase. Looking around, she sighed. I wonder where I will have to stay. Father probably won't let me leave his sight. She lowered her head sadly. Naruto looked at the ground, a little sad himself. She obviously didn't like her father's company that much. Then his head snapped towards her as he got an idea. Hey! You could stay at my place. Her eyes widened and her face flushed. She slowly turned her head towards his smiling face. BB, but she started to fidget with her fingers. The R repairs could take months, she stuttered. So? I don't mind, you're welcome to stay as long as you want. On top of that, there are no strict clan rules in my apartment, so you can do whatever you like. You can sleep all you want, you can be as lazy as you want, and you can laugh till you cry, and that's a promise, believe it. He gave her a thumbs up and a foxy grin. She looked at him in disbelief as a tear escaped her eye. Thank you, she whimpered, wiping her cheek. No problem, no need to get all emotional about it. He chuckled. So I guess you will have a roommate for a while. Her voice became shaky as the word roommate barely left her throat. Well, I think that being away from this side of the village will be a good idea for now. Ko spoke, walking up behind them. Although, his tone was a bit dull. What do you mean, Ko? Hinata's smile dropped. Lady Hinata, we have discovered the source of the explosion. His voice and his expression became serious. The two looked at him in anticipation. One of the guards had been knocked unconscious by the blast. He just regained consciousness, and he told us something startling. The explosive was disguised as a package that arrived earlier today. It was in your name. What? Naruto gulped. Hinata started to shake. Could it be? The guard inspected it and found nothing suspicious. He was on his way to your room to give it to you. You weren't there, so he placed the package on the table across from your room. It exploded after he got far enough from it so that he wasn't severely injured. Ko continued. So you mean she was the target? Naruto choked out. Yes, we believe so. Again? She stuttered. Naruto looked at her in shock. Again? What do you mean again? I'm afraid this wasn't the first time someone targeted Lady Hinata. Ko responded with a sigh. But why? To steal the power of the Byakugan, Ko answered. Luckily they were unsuccessful. Hinata's breath was caught in her throat. Was all of this because of her? She realized something else as she found her voice again. As so if I had been in my room then. No! Naruto grabbed her shoulders. Don't think like that. That didn't happen, you're safe. Indeed. Another voice joined the discussion. They all looked up at Hinata's father, and Hanabi standing next to him. The perpetrator apparently had no information about you, as he expected you to be present when the package was delivered. Ko, I require a full assessment of the damage as soon as possible. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Ko bowed and left. Hayashi looked at his eldest daughter's shivering form. She was underwhelmed by the clan, so she was being targeted instead of Hanabi. His shy, fragile daughter. The only member of the clan who didn't inherit the cruel and strict personality characteristic for the family. Hanabi was the heiress now, but Hinata was precious to him, the only reminder of his late wife. She was timid, kind, and soft-spoken like her mother. He didn't show it, but of course he loved his daughter. Hanabi, the clan elders and myself will be accommodating at the undamaged part of the compound along with the guards who will continue to perform their duty. Hayashi decided. Father, what about sister? Hanabi asked, confused. She needs to keep away from the site so that she is not harmed. Sir? Naruto faced Hayashi. You have a suggestion, Uzumaki? A drop of sweat traveled down his whiskers. Yes, I think she'll be safe with me. Hanabi's eyes widened. Hayashi faced Hinata. Do you agree? She nodded rapidly as she tried to keep her face from heating up, but she failed. Hanabi noticed her rosy cheeks and her mouth slightly opened as she came to a conclusion. And that time she saw her sister sneak out of the compound. Deciding to follow her, she caught her spying at the blonde training, with the same blush. Oh, big sister. Very well, you two are dismissed. Thank you, sir. Naruto bowed along with Hinata. He grabbed her suitcase as they made to leave. They jumped over the rooftops to get to his apartment as quickly as possible to make sure no one saw her moving into his place, as that would defeat the purpose. He slid his key into the lock. Please tell me I didn't forget to clean. He unlocked the door as she giggled. He took a quick glance inside and sighed with relief. Grabbing her suitcase, he let her in. Her eyes widened and a large smile split her face as she instantly fell in love with the place. It was small but cozy and warm. I'll put your suitcase in the bedroom, okay? She nodded. As he made his way to the bedroom, his chest filled with happiness after he saw the smile that appeared on her face as soon as she walked in. Hinata looked around, taking it all in. The first thing she saw was a small hallway with buckets of paint in the corner. Taking off her sandals, she stepped into a room which seemed to be the living room on the left and the kitchen on the right. To the left there was an orange couch with a matching sofa and a small wooden coffee table. The wall behind them was covered in blue wallpaper with little bowls of ramen printed all over it. It was so Naruto. On the left was a small but at the same time spacious kitchen with a table and a few chairs. The walls were white and the wooden floors were a warm brown without any rugs. Alright. Naruto was next to her again. Let me show you around. This is the kitchen, the living room. He walked over to a door and pushed it open, revealing a room with blue tiles. The bathroom, and he walked over to another door and slid it open. It was a room with a bed, a wardrobe, a bedside table, a mirror and a balcony along with a window above the bed. This is where you will be sleeping. She looked around, walking up to picture of her team Naruto kept on his bedside table. His bed weight. And Naruto, I cannot sleep in your bed. She almost yelled as her brain processed what he just said. He laughed at her. You're the guest, so you take the bed, I insist. I'll sleep on the couch. I've slept on it before, it's no big deal. Are you sure? She blushed. Yes, I'm sure. You have a lot of space in the wardrobe and the second drawer is empty, so you can unpack. I'll go make us some ramen, okay? Yes. Naruto was about to leave the room, but she stopped him. Naruto! He turned to face her. Thank you for everything. Of course, he replied softly, leaving the room. When the door closed, she sighed as she tried to slow down her heartbeat. She could only dream about what is happening right now. She will be living with her crush for a while. That means she would be spending all day with him. She could only imagine waking up in the morning, probably before him, making breakfast, lunch and dinner for the both of them every day, and the thought of using his shower made her squeal and cover her red face with her hands. Pulling herself together, she unzipped her suitcase and started to unpack. She quickly pulled out her undergarments, folded them and packed them into the large drawer. Then as she opened the closet door, she blushed when she saw Naruto's clothes. She smiled as most of it was orange, blue or gray, but there were some black items there as well. However, they were very messily shoved in the closet, so after she was done with her clothes she began folding his and separating the colors. She couldn't help taking a few sniffs of his black mesh shirt. Hearing footsteps on the other side of the door, she froze as Naruto knocked on the door. The ramen's ready, you okay in there? Yes. I'll be right out, she replied, closing the closet door and stepping out of the bedroom. Walking in the kitchen, she saw Naruto sitting at the table, motioning for her to join him. She did so with a blush. Sitting across from him, he handed her a pair of chopsticks and they began eating. Somewhere in the middle of the meal, Naruto spoke up. So he swallowed. How do you like it here? I know you're used to living in a much bigger house, but… No. I love it here, it's perfect. She interrupted him. He grinned at her and chuckled, pleased to hear that. Listen, if there's anything that bothers you, tell me, okay? There's nothing that bothers me. She smiled sweetly. Hey, I was thinking that we go grocery shopping tomorrow. He scratched his cheek. Sure, and I can cook for you every day if you want. She pushed her fingers together with a blush. Naruto looked at her with his eyes wide before grinning. Hell yeah! I love your cooking. She giggled. I'm glad. After the meal was over and the table was clean, Naruto remembered something. Oh, come with me. He led her to the bathroom and started to dig through a cabinet. Here. He handed her a couple of clean towels, a toothbrush and a lavender soap. And if your feet get cold, he handed her a pair of fluffy blue slippers. I know they aren't the manliest slippers ever, but he said, a little embarrassed. She giggled. Thank you. If you need anything else, just search the cabinet, alright? She nodded. And I've got a clean drawer just for you. I noticed the perfumes and shampoos you packed from your vanity, you can put them in here. She blushed in surprise. He noticed? After showing her around some more, they sat on the couch and talked about what they could do tomorrow. The talk went from groceries to pranks, and the room filled up with laughter. After their laughter died down, Hinata let out a small yawn. Naruto smiled. Looks like it's time for bed, huh? She blushed. It's just been a long day. Yeah, come on, you get into your pajamas while I lock the door, then we can brush our teeth together. He grinned. Her face turned an even deeper red. Okay, she stammered out. Now both in their pajamas they were standing in front of the bathroom mirror brushing their teeth. Hinata didn't know what made her face flush more. The fact that they were brushing their teeth together, or the fact that she was using his toothpaste since her was half charred. Or the blush on Naruto's face when he saw her in her pajamas. She wore a set of a dark purple silky shirt and pants. She felt embarrassed without her bra, but her shirt was baggy, so she hoped he didn't notice. After they were done, he led her into the bedroom. As she sat on his bed, he grabbed a pillow and a blanket out of the wardrobe and threw them on the couch where he will be sleeping before going back to the bedroom and tucking her in. You good? She nodded, covering her red face with the blanket. He got up and walked to the door. See, could you leave the door open, please? Sure, but you know there's no need to be scared, he quietly comforted her. Yes, it's just that the S sound of why your S snoring is kind of comforting. She buried her face in her hands. He laughed at her. Good night, Hinata, he whispered sweetly. Good night, Naruto, she replied. He went back to the couch, falling asleep in seconds. Hinata smiled, hearing his light rhythmic snoring. He made her feel safer than anyone else in the world. Hoping to surprise him with breakfast tomorrow, nuzzling her face in his pillow, she closed her eyes. She has never felt this comfortable in a bed before. The mattress was the perfect density, the blanket was thick and warm, and every time she inhaled, her nostrils filled with his masculine scent. At that moment she forgot about the danger she was in as she fell into a deep slumber, hoping that when she wakes up she will still be in his bed. The mess at the Hyuga compound was slowly getting cleaned as people were gathering the chunks and pieces of the roof, the walls, and the furniture. Hayashi Hyuga, having had just finished a training session with Inari, was overlooking the cleanup. Excuse me, Lord Hayashi. A member of the clan council approached him. Yes? Hayashi replied blankly. We had summoned a meeting the previous evening to discuss the situation, and it has come to our attention that Lady Hinata is not in the premises. Why weren't we notified about that? How do I know that one of you is not responsible for this? Hayashi still didn't even look at him. That is absurd. Why would you come to such a conclusion? The man shouted angrily. You never hid your disappointment in my daughter. On top of that, the guard who brought the explosive device inside the compound could not detect anything inside of the package because a protective seal was used to mask the content inside from the Byakugan. The same seal we use for maintaining privacy in our compound. You have access to it. That might be true, but it is totally irrational. The man lowered his voice. Hayashi looked at him from the corner of his eye. Explain. We all know that in order of taking the abilities of the Byakugan from a Hyuga, the one must be alive, as the Byakugan does not function anymore without chakra in the one's body. This was an attempt to kill Lady Hinata. To add to the ridiculousness of your conclusion, we already possess the Byakugan. Why would we want someone else's? Hayashi closed his eyes. That is a valid point, unless you were stealing the Byakugan for someone else. But if that person has an alliance with someone from the clan, then they should know that the target must stay alive. Hayashi faced the man. You would rather kill her than let anyone get away with the Byakugan. This discussion is a waste of time, the man yelled in anger. We must find Lady Hinata and bring her here, where she will be guarded in the clan dojo with maximum protection. I already know of her whereabouts. The man stared at Hayashi. What? And when were you planning of telling us this? I wasn't, Hayashi answered calmly. And why exactly? The man was getting agitated. Didn't we just have a ridiculous conversation about that? Hayashi added, walking away. The man grunted and took a deep breath to calm his anger. Shaking his head, he walked away. Hayashi walked over to the undamaged part of the training area and took a seat. Seconds later, he was approached by Hanabi's caretaker and maid Natsu. Would you like some tea? She placed the platter next to him. Thank you. He took a sip. It is somewhat unusual, as I'm used to Hinata making tea for me. Natsu was one of the people he trusted. Is it not good? Natsu asked, concerned. It is fine. He took another sip. Natsu thought for a moment. Speaking of Lady Hinata, will you allow me to ask you a question? She asked quietly. Go ahead. Hayashi put the tea back on the platter. I've heard about who she's staying with. Do we trust the boy? Hayashi was quiet for a moment. Take a seat. I will explain. Natsu raised her brow in confusion, but sat next to him. When Hinata was made a genin, she was in her room with Hanabi. I was passing by just to hear about Hinata finding her mother's precious silver locket. I admit I stopped to listen for a moment to hear where she had placed it. I wanted to take a look at it as the locket was my gift to my late wife and I haven't seen it in a long time. I did not want to ask her to give it to me personally as I did not have a reason to take it other than to take a look at it. I thought Hinata would have found my behavior odd as I do not usually have any interest in anyone's possessions. Natsu listened carefully as he got to the point. I went into her room and took it from beneath her pillow. The boy's picture was inside of it. Natsu's eyes widened in shock and surprise. I placed it back, so I suggest you keep this between us. Yes, Natsu said quickly. I have made my daughter's life miserable in many ways. Keeping her away from someone who makes her happy and someone who could possibly repair her mental state will help no one. He is an outcast, a jailer, and most definitely not fitted for my daughter, but Lord Hokage has trust in him, so I have no choice but to trust him as well. Besides, no one would suspect him. Yes, Natsu agreed. Naruto stirred in his sleep, sniffing the air. His eyes snapped open at the smell of cooked food. He looked towards the kitchen only to see Hinata serving homemade ramen into a bowl, making him drool. Morning, he said quietly, not to spook her. Hinata looked up at his smiling face and returned the smile. Good morning, sleepyhead. She giggled. Did you make that? He asked excitedly, getting up and walking up to her. That looks amazing. Yes, I wanted to thank you for letting me stay, so I decided to surprise you. She pushed her fingers together. I told you already, no need to keep thanking me. He looked straight into her lilac orbs. I love having you here. I've actually always wanted someone to wake up to, he said timidly. Her heart fluttered at his loving words. I'll go change and I'll be right back. He went to the bedroom to get his clothes, but upon opening his closet his eyes widened when he saw his nicely folded clothes. Did you fold my clothes? He asked sheepishly. He got a giggle in response. He smiled and shook his head. You know, I didn't bring you here to clean, I brought you here to protect you. Well, if you won't clean, who else will? She giggled again. I'll clean. I'll do everything. You're the guest, you're not supposed to do that. Now dressed, he went back into the kitchen. After they finished their breakfast, Naruto patted his full belly. Man, that was good. I bet you could even make vegetables taste delicious. He grinned at her. She giggled. Well, I guess we could add those to our grocery list then. He blinked at her. Fine, he rolled his eyes playfully. And speaking of groceries, that's where we headed next. Getting ready and locking the apartment, they made their way towards the supermarket. But they weren't the only ones. After grabbing a basket, Sakura went down the aisles looking for what her mom told her to buy. A few minutes later, she heard a familiar laugh. Peeking from behind the shelf she was next to, she saw Naruto and Hinata with an almost full basket. Looking at the aisle with shelves full of jars, Naruto raised an eyebrow. I guess finding what you need among all of these jars would be quite a pickle, huh? He joked, earning a cute laugh from Hinata and a smile from Sakura, whom they were unaware of. She wanted to say hi but quickly changed her mind, remembering their last conversation. Yeah, it's jarring, isn't it? He continued the joke. Hinata almost dropped the basket after her knees buckled from laughing. Naruto grabbed the basket. I got it. He smiled at her, enjoying her adorable laugh. After they got what they needed, they paid and headed back home. After sorting out the groceries, Naruto sat on the couch and sighed. Well, this is our last day off. What do you want to do? Hinata leaned against the kitchen table looking at him. I don't know, she replied. Naruto looked around trying to think of something. His gaze stopped at the plants in his kitchen. Then he remembered that Hinata said she liked gardening, so he got an idea. Well, I guess I could use some more plants to brighten up the place a bit. We could go around some flower shops. She smiled. Sounds fun. And off to the shops they went. Meanwhile, some other ninja were on those same streets. Asuma and Kurenai were sitting in a bar they frequently visited, having some sake and enjoying the peace as they both just finished training with their teams. The two liked each other's company. Asuma even restrained himself from smoking when he was around Kurenai. They'd been making amazing progress. Ino isn't as frustrated about not having Sasuke on her team as before, and their teamwork has gotten better. Their conversation continued. Asuma took a sip of sake. How are things with your team going? Kurenai sighed after a big gulp of her drink. She put the dish down and pinched the tip of her nose in frustration. Sakura has been quieter lately. Considering her constant yelling at Naruto, isn't that a good thing? Asuma asked, confused. I suppose it should be, but I think something has happened that I don't know about that put out some of the fire she had in her before. Whatever it is, she won't tell me. Abu Kurinai stopped mid-sentence as something caught her eye. Asuma raised an eyebrow in confusion and looked in the direction she was looking. Walking down the street were Naruto and Hinata, both eating an ice cream and walking hand in hand. Kurinai's breath caught in her throat. She knew about Hinata's crush on the blonde, but the sight still very much surprised her. However, there was something else that caught her attention. Ice cream? Shouldn't they be training for a makeup exam? Asuma's hand froze right before the cup touched his lips. He looked at her in surprise. Wait, you hadn't heard? Kakashi passed them. Her head snapped towards him. You're kidding? No, it's true. He took the sip as his hand unfroze. But he's never passed the team before. Looks like there is something about those three. Asuma chuckled lightly. Could you imagine what a scandal would it be if the Uchiha genius and the Hyuga heiress hadn't passed? Kurinai sighed and shook her head. I need another drink. After finishing their ice cream, the two began picking out plants. Looking at all the colors and shapes of the leaves and buds, Hinata made sure to pick a plant that didn't require too much maintenance. Naruto, on the other hand, was curiously looking around the plants. He actually wanted Hinata to pick out the ones she liked the most. He looked at her to see if she had picked anything. She bended over to smell a big, bright red flower, but taking a sniff she made a face and straightened quickly. She shook her head, making her indigo locks sway, and then put her hand over her nose. He laughed at her, making her jump. She blushed in embarrassment, and pushed her fingers together. After he stopped laughing, Naruto walked over to the flower and took a curious sniff himself. Pulling away, he looked at her. Ack. That freakin' stinks. He laughed again. I know it smells like Hinata's blush faded as she tried to recognize the peculiar smell. Naruto thought for a moment and took another sniff. It smells like rotten onions. He grinned at her sheepishly. She blinked, then laughed at the randomness of the comment. So which ones do you like? He smiled at her. And me? She gave him a startled blush. Yeah, I could use some feminine touches in my apartment. He chuckled. After the plants found their new home, Naruto and Hinata needed to find what to do next. Sitting at the kitchen table with his hand under his chin, he looked at her. Should we go train? Sure. She nodded. Even though they went in and out of the apartment all day, they got out once again and made their way towards the training ground. So what do you want to work on? Well, maybe I could spar against some of your clones. Sure. And I need you to help me with chakra control. I suck at it. You are not that bad at it, Naruto. Please, don't sugarcoat it. Hinata, remember the tree walking we did in the Land of Waves? I do. It wasn't that bad, really. Flashback. What are we doing here, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asked, confused. After they made sure the thugs weren't around, Kakashi took them to a woodsy area nearby. Now, we are going to learn about chakra control. Huh? But didn't we already learn all that at the academy? Naruto asked, annoyed. You only learned the basic about chakra. You never learned how to properly control it. Kakashi explained. Now, what is chakra exactly? He looked at his students. It's the thing we use in jutsu, right? Naruto scratched his cheek. Yes, but in definition? And may I, sensei? Hinata shyly raised her hand. Kakashi gave her his one-eyed smile. Go ahead. Chakra is essential to even the most basic techniques. Through various methods, the most common of which are hand seals, chakra can be controlled and manipulated to create an effect that would not be possible otherwise, such as exhaling fire, or creating illusions. Chakra is ordinarily not visible to the human eye unless it is manifested in large amounts. Hinata explained. Excellent. Kakashi looked at her proudly. Naruto smiled at her. I don't know if it's because I like your voice or what, but I understood every word of that. She looked at him, and her blush increased. I guess she should be the one to explain things to you then, Kakashi added, making her blush even more. So, are we doing what I think we're doing? Sasuke asked lamely. If you're thinking about climbing a tree, then you're right. HN. Climbing a tree? Naruto was even more confused now. Yes, but without using your hands. How are we supposed to do that? Like this. Kakashi made a hand sign, then walked up to a tree, placing his foot on it, horizontally walking up the tree. Whoa! Naruto watched in amazement as Kakashi walked back down. What do I do? He asked excitedly. First concentrate your chakra to the bottom of your feet, then just walk up the tree. Heh! Piece of cake! Naruto made a hand sign, then molded chakra into his feet, but after 2 steps up the tree he landed on his rear. What the ow? HN loser. Sasuke gave it a try himself, but after 5 steps his feet slipped off of the tree. He landed smoothly next to Naruto, who was still on his rear. Humph! Naruto crossed his arms and turned away. Use a kunai to mark your highest point, then try to make it above that point over and over until you get to the top. Easier said than done. Naruto got up on his feet. Oh, really? And I thought it was a piece of cake. Sasuke mocked him. Naruto growled at his rival and started to concentrate his chakra again. After a dozen of failed attempts, Naruto was on his rear again. His highest point was a few feet higher, while Sasuke had made it to almost a third of the tree. Well, I hope he's doing worse than, huh? He looked around. Hinata? Up H here, she cried out shyly. Naruto and Sasuke looked above their heads to find Hinata sitting on the highest branch of the tree. She gave them a timid wave. Whoa! Hinata, you're awesome! Kakashi nodded proudly. Just as I expected. Hyugas are known to have excellent chakra control. Well done, Hinata. Kakashi smiled at her under his mask. You can rest now, but the 2 of you will have to keep tying until you get to the top, he said, looking at Naruto and Sasuke. She blushed and smoothly walked back down. Why, yes. Naruto walked over to her. Hey, can you help me out? Please, he whispered. She twiddled her fingers. Well, why, you do not need to use a lot of sea chakra, and you need to see calm down. Being angry will not help you, it will only affect your chakra flow. Try to relax. Okay. Thanks, Hinata, you rock. He grinned at her, then ran back to his tree. After Hinata's advice, Naruto had almost climbed higher than Sasuke. His rival didn't like that, but as he was about to approach Hinata and ask her what she told him, one of the workers from the bridge ran up to them telling them that somebody spotted a few of the thugs. So Kakashi had to put their training on hold. End of flashback. But now they could finally continue it. After getting to the training ground and sparring for an hour, the 2 were resting on the grass next to the 3 wooden stumps. Naruto turned his head towards her. Hey, how about you help me now? Okay. She got up. And I know the perfect way, come on. She led him to a nearby river. This is a perfect chakra control exercise for you, my father taught it to me. She made a hand sign and calmly walked over to the river. Taking a step onto the water, she began walking on its very surface like it was only ground. Naruto looked at her in amazement. How you can do that? Can you teach me? He said in a hopeful voice. She smiled at him. Of course. All you have to do is to concentrate your chakra to the bottom of your feet, and relax just like I told you. Okay. He made a hand sign and his eyes closed in concentration for a few seconds. When they opened, he took a step on the water. He was surprised that it felt solid, so he took another step, and another, and then he ran up to her and grabbed her around her waist, lifted her up and spun her around. Woohoo! I did it! Thanks a bunch, Hinata! He let her go and her knees buckled as her blush reached her neck, making her almost lose her balance. YUARW welcome, she stammered out. After a long cheerful walk, they were halfway back to their apartment. After Hinata's stomach rumbled, she fidgeted her fingers in embarrassment, earning a laugh from her crush. You hungry? He smiled, pointing his thumb towards Ichiraku. She nodded shyly and he grabbed her hand, dragging her inside, greeting a few of his favorite people. So you were training? Tochi asked, giving him another bowl. Yep. Hinata just taught me how to walk on water. That's great. She's pretty cool, isn't she? I winked at Hinata, who turned tomato red. The tomato red went to beet red as she felt Naruto's fingers intertwine with hers. Yeah. His grin was replaced with a soft, honest smile. Thanks for always being there for me, he said softly as he lifted her hand towards his lips, kissing the back of it. Her eyes became watery, and she gave him a bright smile. Always. Finishing their meal, they headed back home. Brushing their teeth together again, they got ready for bed. Tucking her in, he wished her good night and walked to his couch. She nuzzled her face in the pillow, suppressing a squeal of happiness. This was the best day ever. Hearing him start to snore, she calmed herself and quickly fell asleep, not knowing that a nightmare was about to ruin her slumber, or will it? Hinata was walking through a dark hallway. She didn't know where she was or how she got there. All she knew was that she's alone and scared. As she kept walking, the smell of blood was getting unbearable. Her steps quickened in hope to get away from whatever the smell was coming from, but she tripped on something. She yelped in pain as she hit the cold, wet stone floor. She tried to get up when something warm dripped on her cheek. Wiping it with her finger off of her cheek, she brought her hand up to her face to see what it is. It was blood. She looked above her and screamed in terror to see Naruto's headless body hanging from the ceiling. Looking towards her feet to see what had tripped her, her eyes met Naruto's as his head turned to face her. Letting out a scream, she woke up in cold sweat. Looking around, she realized she was in his bed. The moonlight was peeking through the curtain. She closed her eyes to calm her heartbeat and to try to erase the horrible images from her head, but that was unsuccessful. Tears welled up in her eyes and dripped down her cheeks. Then she felt a hand soothingly rub her back. "Hey, you okay?" Naruto whispered in concern, sitting on the bed next to her. Her scream woke him up instantly, so he scrambled out of his blanket and rushed into the bedroom. She opened her eyes to face him, but she closed them again as she quickly wrapped her arms around his waist, sobbing into his chest. "Sure, it's okay, it was just a dream," he hugged her back. A few minutes later, she was limply leaning onto him with her arms still around his waist, and her eyes sore from the bitter tears. That was the worst nightmare she has ever had. As she gradually calmed down, Naruto was rubbing her back and whispering the soothing "it's okay" into her ear over and over again until she had stopped sobbing. Her tears had dried on her cheeks, his warmth filled her whole body, her breathing now steady. But she didn't want to let go. As soon as she lets go, he will go back to his couch and leave her alone, vulnerable and ready for another nightmare to take her. But before she could tighten her grip on him, he whispered into her hair. "You okay? You should go back to sleep." He gripped her shoulders and gently started pulling her away from him. Her body started to shake again. She looked at him with a set of fresh tears in her eyes. It was dark, but she could see the reflection of the moon in his eyes. Please don't leave me," she sobbed out. He folded her hands in his. "Leave you? Hinata, I'm right there on the other side of the door." "And no," she almost cried out. "Stay with me, please." She looked at him in anticipation as his mouth opened and closed a few times. Her heart almost stopped as he let go of her hands and got up. But he wasn't headed towards the door. He fixed the pillow that was shifted from her moving around in her sleep and grabbed the blanket she kicked off of the bed. He motioned for her to lay back down. Her heart fluttered and her blush became visible through the darkness of the room as she realized they are going to sleep in the same bed. She laid down and Naruto covered her with the blanket and laid down beside her. He smiled as she nuzzled her face into his chest. He wrapped an arm around her and slowly ran his fingers through her hair. "Sleep, I'm right here, you're safe," he whispered. And she did so as the feeling of his fingers running through her indigo locks, the calming sound of his heartbeat, and his warmth made her very sleepy. But Naruto laid awake for a few more minutes, basking in the feeling of a girl sleeping next to him. It made him warm on the inside. He closed his eyes as Hinata's sweet lavender scent made him fall asleep at last. Hours later, when the sunrays coated the village, a meeting was in session at the Hokage Tower. Hiruzen Sarutobi was seated at his desk while all the jonin in the village stood in silence across from him. But they all knew what the purpose of the meeting was. Hiruzen exhaled a puff of smoke before he spoke. 7 days from now, the Chunin selection exams will be held here in the Leaf Village. "A week?" His son, Asuma, spoke. "That's very short notice." "That is enough time to prepare the participants for the exam," Hiruzen responded. "Speaking of the participants, will the jonin in charge of the rookie genin step forward?" With that, Kakashi, Kurenai and Asuma took a few steps towards the Hokage. "Kakashi, Asuma and Kurenai, are there any on your teams who are, in your opinion, ready for the Chunin exams?" Kakashi raised 2 fingers under his nose as he spoke. "I am in charge of Team 7, Sasuke Uchiha, Naruto Uzumaki and Hinata Hyuga, and now I, Kakashi Hatake, recommend all 3 for the Chunin selection exam." Iruka gasped silently. "What?" "I lead Team 8, Kurenai spoke against her 2 fingers. "Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburame and Sakura Haruno, and now I, Kurenai Yuhi, recommend all 3. "And I lead Team 10, Choji Akimichi, Shikamaru Nara and Ino Yamanaka, and I, Asuma Sarutobi, recommend all 3. Whispers started to circle around the office before Iruka snapped. "Unbelievable." "What is the matter, Iruka?" Sarutobi raised his head towards him as Iruka stepped in front of the group. "These were all my students at the academy. I know their skills and abilities. It is far too early for them to compete." "Like you said, they were your students." Iruka's head snapped towards Kakashi. "What?" They have grown since the academy, and their skills have increased. They are ready. Kakashi answered calmly. What's the rush, Kakashi? Guy put his hand on his chin and his other hand on his hip, doing his cool guy pose. I held my team back for a year so they can mature. Let them enjoy their youth a little longer. Are you sure it's not because you're afraid of my team wiping the floor with your team? Kakashi added, even calmer. Guy scowled. That is enough. Hiruzen yelled. The matter of the rookie genin participation is final. Dismissed. Hinata's eyes slowly opened. It was morning. The birds were chirping outside, so she had made it through the night without having another nightmare. And it was all thanks to the person who protected her from the darkness, and who was quietly snoring next to her with his arm around her shoulders. She smiled at him lovingly and slowly placed a gentle kiss on his nose. Then she slid underneath his arm, stopping for a second to press her cheek against his arm and feel the warmth of his bicep. Once free from his embrace, she picked up her clothes and quietly got to the bathroom before preparing to make him the best breakfast yet. This is amazing. Naruto swallowed another big bite of Hinata's flavorful rice ball before taking a heart-shaped carrot slice and popping it in his mouth. He was right, she did make vegetables delicious. And it was incredibly endearing that she took the time to cut them into hearts to make it extra special to thank him for last night. He once again insisted that she didn't need to thank him for anything. After the meal was over, they needed to get ready to meet their sensei since their days off were over. So after satisfyingly patting his belly, Naruto grabbed the dishes while Hinata cleaned the table. After everything was clean, they made to leave. They knew Kakashi-sensei would be late as always, so they were in no hurry to get to their usual meeting spot at the bridge. After chatting about the amazing breakfast, their conversation ran out of words. Naruto broke the silence after a couple minutes. So what was the dream you had about? He asked, carefully not to upset her. Her eyes widened and her expression saddened. I dreamt about YUG getting decapitated. Well, my head is still here, so you don't have to worry about it. He chuckled. She smiled. Yes, it was silly of me to react to it so strongly, I'm sorry. He sighed. Why are you apologizing again? You didn't do anything wrong. He smiled at her. She looked at him. If I apologize for apologizing, will you get mad at me? She asked in a serious tone. He stared at her for a moment before he burst out laughing. What? No. He wiped a tear from his eye. She giggled. Sorry, oh. She slapped her hand over her mouth. Stupid. He stared at her again before he let out a loud laugh and clutched his stomach. After he stopped laughing, he grinned at her. I don't remember the last time I laughed this hard. Thanks, Hinata. You're the best. She blinked. She was funny? She blushed and looked away, but as she turned her head, her eye caught something strange. A part of the tall wooden fence was bulky and the wood pattern was horizontal instead of diagonal, and there were two small hands along with a stub of brown hair sticking out from the top. She tilted her head in confusion. Naruto? She pointed towards the odd sight. Naruto looked at it and shook his head with a sigh. What do you think you're doing, Konohamaru? Hinata blinked in surprise as a boy stepped out from behind the shroud. You saw through my camouflage, huh? Just what I expected from my rival. Sorry, but I don't have time to play with you right now. I need to meet Kakashi-sensei. Naruto responded. What? Konohamaru sighed. I guess it can't be helped. You're a ninja after all. That's right. Naruto adjusted his headband, proudly making Hinata giggle. Her cute giggle caught Konohamaru's attention. By the way, boss, who is she? Konohamaru pointed at Hinata. Oh, this is Hinata, she's my girlfriend? Konohamaru interrupted, sticking out his pinky finger. Hinata's face flushed as she tapped her fingers together. Me and Naruto IWE, we are teammates, but she couldn't get herself to say that word. Her world started to spin as Naruto cockily responded. You can tell she's really crazy about me, huh? He scratched the back of his neck. Way to go, boss. She's a babe. He gave Naruto 2 thumbs up. Hinata almost had smoke coming out of her ears. A babe. Isn't she? Naruto grinned at his beet-red teammate. Come on, we gotta go. I'll see you later, Konohamaru. He waved at him and grabbed Hinata's hand as they started to walk away. Noticing Hinata's wobbly walk, he turned to her. You okay? She covered her face with her free hand. And Naruto, WID did YUT tell HMT that WWE she could barely speak and walk as all of her strength was focused on trying to maintain her consciousness. Oh, well, Naruto scratched the back of his head as a tinge of blush appeared on his cheeks. I've never had anyone admire me like that before, so I thought that if he thinks I have a girlfriend I'd seem even cooler. His expression saddened a bit. I thought that if he ever met Sasuke he won't admire me anymore, he'd admire Sasuke then, since all the girls are after him, but he doesn't have a girlfriend still and I don't want Konohamaru to go after him, so I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable. Oh. And not at all. Hinata waved her hand in front of her. I think it's very nice that you have someone who sees how strong you are, she said softly as she found her voice again. Yeah. Naruto squeezed her hand. Besides you. Hinata blushed again. Should we get going? Oh. Yeah, we better hurry. I won't be surprised if we're the ones who are late this time. They started walking quicker. And we always complain about sensei being late. I wouldn't hear the end of it. He rolled his eyes and Hinata giggled. Finally getting to their meeting spot, they were relieved that Sasuke was the only one there. Yo, Sasuke! He yelled out to him, letting go of Hinata's hand to her disappointment. Sasuke looked at them, raising an eyebrow. What took you two so long? We ran into a friend on the way here. Why? Don't tell me you lost your patience? Sensei's the one late again. HN. I don't think I'm that late, am I? A poof of smoke drew their attention to a post above the bridge Kakashi was now standing on. Well, I am glad you are all in a good mood because I have some great news. He jumped off of the post, smoothly landing in front of them. I nominated all three of you for the Chunin exams. The Chunin exams? Naruto repeated, confused. The Chunin exams are an opportunity for genin to be promoted to Chunin, Naruto. Hinata explained. Oh. Well then I'm totally in. Naruto held out a fist in determination. So, when are we supposed to show up? Sasuke asked. A week from now, go to the Academy building, room 301 on the 3rd floor, and be there before 3 o'clock as that's when the exams will start. He then pulled 3 papers out of his pocket. These are the application forms. If you want to take the exams, sign these and bring them with you to the Academy building. You have a week to decide, so take your time, but for now I believe we've got some training to do. After a few hours of sparring, the three were resting under a tree at the training ground after getting dismissed by Kakashi. We are so gonna ace these exams. Believe it! Naruto grinned. HN. Sasuke nodded affirmatively. I do not think I am going to take the exams. It was barely a whisper, but the other two heard it anyway. What? Why not? Naruto's head snapped towards Hinata. We are only rookies. I do not think I am prepared. You are prepared. I'm sweating right now because you almost kicked my ass today. Hinata, I think you should reconsider. Sasuke turned to her. Your Byakugan will be very useful and we need your intelligence. And we are Team 7. We do everything together. We're one, remember? Naruto added. You guys, Hinata blushed. Looking at her lap, her eye caught Naruto's hand wrapping around hers. We need you, Hinata, he pleaded softly. Hinata looked up, her eyes showing determination. She smiled at her two teammates. Let's do this. Yeah. Naruto grinned. Sasuke flinched at his outburst. You realize that we'll probably need our hearing for the exams too? Naruto's head tuned to Sasuke in annoyance. Yes. I know. He yelled even louder. Sasuke punched him upside the head. You're unbearable. And you're tired 'cause I didn't feel a thing. Naruto grinned. Hinata giggled at her two teammates. No matter how much the two of them argue, they are never truly angry with each other. I think that we could really do everything as a team. After finally deciding to get up, they went to a dango shop as Sasuke didn't want to eat at Ichiraku again. They had a standard conversation about food before Sasuke went silent. Noticing this, Hinata swallowed the last of her meal and turned to him. Is something wrong, Sasuke? I've been thinking we shouldn't get too excited about the exams. The title of Chunin is at stake. There's no messing around. We need to be prepared and never let our guard down. Yeah, Naruto swallowed. And I bet there will be a lot of strong ninja that we need to watch out for. There probably will. Rookies aren't usually nominated, Hinata added in a worried tone. What do you mean? Naruto looked at her. She exchanged glances between her teammates as she spoke. The last time rookie genin took part in the exams was 5 years ago. Huh? Naruto's eyes widened. HN. So it is true, Sasuke smirked. Then we better impress them then. You bet we will. Naruto looked at Hinata, who nodded in agreement. Do you think other rookie teams will compete too? Naruto scratched his whisker. Definitely. Sasuke answered quickly. If you were nominated, everyone else is too. Naruto glared at his rival. You want me to stick these chopsticks up your nose? Naruto! Behave. Hinata giggled. As night fell, the two parted ways from Sasuke and headed back to their apartment. Unlocking the door, Naruto smiled at Hinata. Ladies first. She smiled and walked in. He followed before locking the door again. He then turned towards her. Ahem. She looked at him and smiled. Walking over towards him, she wrapped her arms around his neck, giving his cheek a smooch. After returning the favor, Naruto looked at her. You know, you were pretty quiet the whole way here. She let go of him and fidgeted with her fingers as a deep blush crept over her face. Well, I was thinking I am not as scared be, but I thought that maybe. She gulped. You want us to sleep together again? She nodded. He gently ruffled her hair. Sure, gotta keep the nightmares away. Even though the stars were out, a team of genin was at the training ground. Pulling a kunai out of a straw training dummy, the one in green spoke. Have you heard? There will be rookies taking the exams this year. That hasn't happened in 5 years. What? No way. The female member of the team with her hair in 2 buns said. It's probably just some jonin trying to boost their egos. No, it's true. The one in green confirmed. And that is not all. 3 of them are from Kakashi's squad. Well, that's interesting. The girl threw a kunai, hitting a bullseye right above her other teammate with long hair, who smirked, adding, either way, it will not be good for them. Training for the Chunin exams was actually going quite well. After managing to climb to the top of the tree and to learn how to walk on water, Team 7 was making amazing progress, and they were confident that nothing could get in their way. Hinata's confidence increased quite a bit. After constant phrasing from her sensei and her teammates, she became more aggressive with her jukin, gentle fist, as she was always holding back before so she wouldn't hurt her teammates. Jukin strikes really hurt, but Naruto and Sasuke proved they could take anything. Their mornings began with a breakfast at the local dango, sushi or other shops, and their training sessions ended with a dinner at Ichiraku or somewhere where Sasuke wanted to go. After dinner they would separate. Sasuke would go home and Naruto and Hinata would go back to the apartment and cuddle up in his bed for the night. Those days went by as the day of the Chunin exams finally came. Naruto fixed his headband in the mirror. He glanced over to his roommate. You ready? She nodded, placing her hairbrush back in the drawer. As the genin gathered in front of the academy building, they all headed inside except for Sasuke, who was waiting for a loud yo that he finally heard after some time. He glanced over to his 2 teammates. Hey! He greeted them blandly. Let's go in. Getting into the building, there was a ruckus in front of room 301. As they got closer to the large number of genin gathered in front of the door, Naruto asked. Room 301? That's where we're supposed to go in, right? No way, room 301 is supposed to be on the 3rd floor. Sasuke narrowed his eyes suspiciously. That's right. We're on the 2nd floor. Naruto trailed off in confusion. Byakugan. Hinata smirked. A genjutsu. I thought so. Walking by the group of genin, they saw that 2 of them were blocking the door, not letting anyone in. As a genin in a tight green bodysuit and a weird haircut tried to get past them, they insulted and punched him, sending him on his rear. Please let us through, we're supposed to check in. His female teammate tried to get past them too, only to get punched as well. He hit her for no reason. Yeah, that's harsh. The mean genin's head snapped towards one of the genin. Did you say harsh? Ha! You came here to become a Chunin, a title that requires a lot of work, and if you think this is harsh, then cowards like you don't belong here. The other bully spotted Sasuke, Naruto, and Hinata walking around the crowd and going down the hallway. Hey! Where do you think you're going? Sasuke faced the guy. Where do you think? The examination room is on the 3rd floor. What is he saying? We are on the 3rd floor. The other genin looked at them in confusion. Are you blind? The bully pointed towards the number of the room. No. But if I was blind, I would be arguing with you just like the rest because they didn't notice the genjutsu. Sasuke answered calmly as he continued to walk. The bully smirked, and the number 301 blurred and warped into 201. You must be really smart to notice the genjutsu and to turn your back on me like that. The bully yelled out to Sasuke. Sasuke didn't even look back, but he had to as another voice called out to him. Hey! You're a rookie, aren't you? How old are you anyway? Sasuke faced the guy with long hair. I'm not obliged to answer. What? Niji's eyebrow twitched. Tenten giggled. Cute. It's common courtesy to say your own name before asking someone else's, Sasuke added calmly. Niji was about to snap back, but his eyes focused on someone else. Lady Hinata? He almost smiled at her. I'm surprised to see you here. He was even more surprised as Hinata looked at him with determination in her eyes. Lady? Naruto scratched his cheek in confusion. His eyes widened as made the connection. Hey. Niji turned to him. Your eyes are the same as Hinata's, so you're a Hyuga too, huh? And who might you be? Naruto put his hands in his pockets and calmed his expression, mimicking Sasuke. I'm not obliged to answer. As the rest of the genin laughed, Niji glared at the blonde. Naruto slightly smiled at him. To have the audacity to make a comedy show out of a serious situation, you must be that Uzumaki clown Kakashi took under his wing. Well, looks like I'm well known among the Leaf Ninja, but that's how it is when you're the best of the best, right, Sasuke? Naruto smirked cockily. Sasuke nodded in approval. Idiot. Now, I still don't know your name, but I think you won't tell me anyway. Although, Hinata could tell me 'cause it looks like you know each other. Hinata gulped. Niji glared daggers at him. Get your nose out of the Hyuga. It is none of your business. Niji looked like he was ready to attack, but Naruto still decided to push it. Well, I couldn't if I wanted to 'cause I left my big red nose at home. Well, isn't he ballsy? The bullies whispered among the laughter in the hallway. Let's go, Naruto, we've wasted enough time. Sasuke started to walk away again. Naruto and Hinata followed. Niji looked at the symbol on the back of Sasuke's shirt. Sasuke Uchiha. When the three were far enough from the crowd, Naruto laughed. Oh, that was a good one. Just don't get too confident. Sasuke shook his head. As they were about to walk up the stairs, a voice stopped them in their tracks. Hey you, with the attitude. They turned around to see the guy who got punched in the hallway. I want to fight you, right here and right now. Sasuke, we do not have time for this, the exam starts in 30 minutes, Hinata spoke in concern. Don't worry, all I need is 5 seconds. And I'm too confident? Naruto crossed his arms. My name is Rock Lee. You said that it's common courtesy to give my name first, Sasuke Uchiha. So you know me? Sasuke's eyes narrowed. Indeed. Lee took his stance. And it will be an honor to beat you. Sasuke charged at Lee, but just as he was about to punch him, Lee disappeared and appeared below him and punched Sasuke in the face, sending him flying. Sasuke barely landed properly. Rubbing his red cheek, he glared at his opponent. What the hell was that? When did he get that fast? I guess I underestimated you, but you're still going to lose. Sasuke got up on his feet, activating his Sharingan. Hinata gasped in surprise. The Sharingan? Has he mastered it? She smiled as her teammate. Incredible. Lee smirked, recognizing the Sharingan. Sasuke confidently charged him again, only to get punched in the gut. Not managing to land, he rolled onto his stomach as he tried to get up. How? You see, I know that the Sharingan enables you to copy ninjutsu and genjutsu, but I use pure taijutsu. Lee explained. And now I will finish you off. The bandage on his arm unwrapped more and more as he approached Sasuke in lightning speed. After sending him flying with an uppercut, he found himself below Sasuke. Dancing leaf shadow, but before managing to perform his technique, he realized his bandage was stuck. Following the path of his bandage, his eyes widened, seeing the spinning fan stuck at the end of it. This is bad. What do you think you're doing, Lee? A deep, rusty voice echoed through the hall. Landing on the wooden floor, both him and Sasuke looked at the giant turtle that appeared in front of them. Sasuke looked at it with confusion and Lee with fear. As Lee was getting a lesson from the turtle, Sasuke stepped away from him. What is this freak? His teammates rushed next to him. What was that, dude? You just got beat up. Shut up, idiot. He's tougher than he looks. Naruto pointed at Lee. He's apologizing to a turtle. But the turtle clearly wasn't going to forgive him. This deserved a punishment. Come out, Guy-sensei. The turtle yelled in anger. In a large puff of smoke, a man appeared in the same outfit that Lee was wearing, plus a Chunin vest. Hey, what's shaking everybody? How you doing? Life treating you good? He yelled cheerfully. Naruto and Hinata squealed in horror. That haircut looks even worse on him. And his eyebrows are almost alive. Of course, that loud statement came from Naruto. That ticked Lee off. Hey! Gi-sensei is the greatest sensei in the entire world. Well, excuse me for not noticing his greatness. I was too busy watching him crawl out from underneath the turtle. He did not crawl out. Calm down, Lee, it's alright. Guy calmly put his hand on his student's shoulder. But now for your punishment. And with that, Lee was flying over to where his bandage was stuck in the wall. Team 7's jaws dropped as the two started crying and hugging. After Guy wiped his tears off, he looked towards them. You must be Kakashi's team. Do you know him? Sasuke asked. Do I know Kakashi? Guy chuckled. He and I are eternal rivals. What? The three yelled in union. He disappeared and showed up behind them, shocking the three genin, making Hinata latch onto Naruto's arm. I'm faster and stronger than Kakashi, Guy bragged. He's definitely faster than Kakashi. Sasuke clenched his fists. A drop of sweat ran down Hinata's jaw as she looked at the clock on the wall. GG guys, we'll be out late. She let go of Naruto before her face flushed. Guy cleared his throat and gave Lee a thumbs up. Go Lee, and make me proud. Yes sir. Lee collected his bandages and ran off. We better go too, Naruto said, and they started walking. As they walked up the stairs, Naruto spoke. Did you see his hands? Huh? Sasuke raised an eyebrow. They were bruised and stitched. I bet he trains every day until he drops. That's why he beat you. Sasuke was quiet, but someone else broke the silence. There you are, I almost got worried. The three looked up to see Kakashi standing in front of the Rio room 301. I'm glad you all decided to come. You can now formally sign up for the exams. What do you mean? Naruto tilted his head in confusion. The Chunin exams only allowed teams of 3 to participate. Hinata started to shake. So if I did and not come then? Naruto gently intertwined his fingers with hers. Don't worry, we're all here, we can go in. Yes. Kakashi confirmed. I'm proud of all 3 of you. Good luck. We won't let you down, sensei. Believe it. And with that they opened the door and entered, only to be met with glares of 100 eyes. The room was full of ninja from other villages, and they all looked like they were about to suck their souls out. But the cold and silent atmosphere was shut down by Ino, who jumped onto Sasuke, wrapping her hands around his neck. Sasuke, honey, where have you been? She screeched happily. Sasuke winced, not only because she had screamed in his ear but also because she was cutting off oxygen with her tight grip around his neck. You know, I miss your dark, good looks. Ino flirted. Get off. Sasuke roughly released himself out of her grip. And then another voice cut in. Hey pig! Keep your dirty hands off of him, he's mine! Naruto looked behind Sasuke to see Choji, Shikamaru, Shino, Kiba and a fuming Sakura who was stomping towards them. Beat it, forehead! Can't you see I'm the one he's attracted to? Sakura growled at the blonde Kunoichi. Stomping up to her, she grabbed her arm. In your dreams, pig! They were grabbing onto each other's hair until something caught Ino's eye and she stopped yelling as her expression became a mixture of confusion and surprise, like somebody turned off a switch in her. Sakura raised an eyebrow at the sudden change on her rival's face. Look! Ino whispered, pointing towards Naruto and Hinata, who were still holding hands. Huh! Are those two? Sakura's eyes widened as she remembered the time she saw them at the supermarket. That's why she always defends him. Ino brought her back from her thoughts. Turning towards her, she raised an eyebrow. Huh! She likes him. Who would have thought? The shy, quiet wallflower with the loudest moron in the village. They're not for each other at all, Ino whispered. Well, opposites attract, I guess, Sakura whispered back. Their awkward fight to conversation was interrupted by a guy with gray hair and glasses walking up to them. Hey, you're the rookies, aren't you? I think you should keep it down. And who are you to tell us what to do? Ino pointed at him in annoyance. I'm Kabuto Yakushi, but really, look around. The rookies turned their heads to meet the cold glares of other ninja in the room. Naruto gulped and released his grip on Hinata's hand as his started to sweat. You've caused quite a show. Kabuto fixed his glasses with his finger. The candidates look tougher this year. I wouldn't get them angry if I were you. This year? Sasuke spoke. This is not your first time taking the exams? No, it's actually my 7th. Kabuto scratched the back of his neck in embarrassment. 7th? I knew this exam would be a drag, Shikamaru whined. Since you have a lot of experience with the exams, can you tell us about them? Sakura asked Kabuto. Kabuto smiled, pulling out a large stack of orange cards. Sure, what do you want to know? You can ask me anything. On these cards I have something on just about everyone here, even you guys. Sasuke walked up to him. Everyone? You name it, I have it. Show me, Rock Lee. You even have a name, huh? Well then, he pulled a card out of the deck and put the card on the floor and started spinning it with his finger. What are you doing? Ino asked in confusion. I'm concentrating my chakra into the card to reveal the information stored in it. A bit of smoke puffed out of the card and Lee's data appeared on it. Here, Rock Lee looks like he's a year older than you guys. He completed 11 C rank and 20 D rank missions. His taijutsu has improved recently, but his other abilities are pretty wobbly. He was noticed as a strong genin last year, but for some reason he decided not to compete in the exams, so this is his first year, just like yours. Sasuke raised an eyebrow. Not as impressive as I thought. The leader of his team is Guy. Kabuto continued. His team consists of Tenten and Niji Hyuga. Niji. Naruto crossed his arms. That guy. Some of these guys don't look intimidating and some are a mystery, like the genin from the small sound village, but I wouldn't underestimate anyone. Kabuto put his cards away. Somewhere in the middle of the crowd of ninjas, 3 of them were the ones Kabuto was talking about. Sound is their specialty, so of course they heard his insults even though they were far away from him. Did you hear that? Ken said. Yeah, he called us small and a mystery. Zaka's brow twitched. Let's clear some of the mystery for him, Dosa said as they all moved in the speed of sound towards their target. Dosa was about to hit Kabuto, but sensing him he ducked. Kabuto smirked, but a second later they groaned as he fell to the ground along with the pieces of his glasses. Kabuto! Naruto was about to jump in front of him, but Sasuke stopped him. Don't, you idiot! You don't know how they hit him. Imagine what they could do to you. Kabuto got back on his feet, but before Zaka could give him a punch himself, a loud and deep voice interrupted their brawl. Alright, you baby-faced degenerates. Quit the playground fights. Who gave you permission to hurt each other anyway? In a large smoke cloud, a group of jounin appeared along with a tall, scary-looking man dressed in black with scars on his face and a bandana wrapped around his head. Listen up. You will each be given a number which will determine where you will sit. Once you are seated, the written portion of the Chunin exams will begin. Naruto squealed, earning a confused look from the other rookies. Did he just say? A written exam? If one member gets a 0, the whole team fails? What kind of rule is that? One of the genin shouted, getting up from his seat. Naruto slammed his head on the table. Ugh, I'm screwed. That's not good for you then, a familiar voice next to him whispered. Naruto raised his head, looking to his right at the more than familiar face. You were always bad at tests, the person said in sympathy. Naruto scratched his head, a little embarrassed. Sakura? Geez, I didn't even notice you. All right, listen up, Ibiki shouted, and all eyes and ears focused on him. After a few more ridiculous rules, the test began, and so did the noise of papers flipping and pencils clanking, accompanied with quiet groans of those who didn't know what to write. One of them was Naruto. Dropping his pencil onto the table, he grabbed his hair in frustration. His blue eyes analyzed the paper as he read the complicated questions in a low whisper, but still loud enough for Sakura to hear. Determine the coordinates of the ninja at position B if the shuriken aimed at him was going at 60 miles per hour. What does this even mean? He slapped his hand over his forehead. Sakura giggled. He was in trouble, but she doesn't have it easy either. She had the highest score in class on tests, so she somewhat understood the questions, but they were still a bit too difficult for her. Relying on her teammates, she decided to use her brains as best as she can until they came up with a plan. Almost 20 minutes into the test, some of the genin began to understand what was really going on. They were supposed to cheat, so they did what they could until. Number 61, fail. Number 70 and number 130, that means you fail as well, one of the proctors announced. What? The guy with the number 61 on his desk got up, slamming his pencil on it. 5 strikes and you're out. You just failed the test. And that was the first of many other genin whose numbers were called out. Some of them broke out into a fight, saying it wasn't fair, while others just walked out of the room in defeat. There's gotta be something I can do, Naruto panicked, looking at his empty test. He grabbed his pencil with his shaky hand but dropped it again. A few rows behind him, Hinata's Byakugan kept watch over both of her teammates. Sasuke was doing well thanks to his Sharingan, but oh, Naruto, she knew he was bad at written tests, so even before she took her seat she was thinking of a way to help him, but upon hearing the rules she needed to think harder. Naruto has always praised her for her intelligence, so she can't screw this up if she wants to prove that she is good enough, not just to her crush but to Neji too. Thanks to her Byakugan she had answered most of the questions, and she saw that Sasuke had answered most of them too, but Naruto's paper was empty, not counting his signature on the top corner of the paper. She fidgeted the pencil between her fingers trying to think of a way to help him while hiding her Byakugan by lowering her head, but her eyes caught something. She was a little worried that Sakura was sitting next to him, but remembering their last conversation about her she didn't know if she should be worried about him liking her again. But what was this about Sakura sliding her test towards him? She read her lips. Come on, look. She was helping him. Sakura glanced at Naruto. He's so upset, I've never seen him like this before. He was always acting tough around me, but now her thoughts trailed off as she remembered all those times he had asked her out back at the academy. Even though he got rejected over and over again, he was never upset about it, and he just kept trying knowing that she would never accept. After she saw him holding hands with Hinata she realized that he got over her, so he let his real self show, not trying to act thought to impress her anymore. And then she remembered all the times she punched him. Now that she thought about it, most of the time it was for insulting Sasuke, so it was basically for no reason. She felt bad for him, so she decided to help him even though he's not her teammate. Naruto was shocked at her offering to let him look at tests, but he didn't have any other choice. Come on, look. Sakura slid her paper a bit to the left towards Naruto. But just when he was about to take a glance at her paper. Alright. There is 15 minutes left, time for the 10th question. Naruto gulped. Damn it, this is my last chance to pass. He gripped his pencil in his hand. However, Ibiki broke the anticipation among the genin by announcing that they can choose not to take the 10th question, but that if they did and they still failed they will never be able to compete in the exams ever again. After a few outbursts some genin began to raise their hand and they gave up on the test. Hinata's whole body shook as she looked at her crush. Oh dear Naruto, he will fail and I don't know how to help him, but if he does his dream will be crushed. I cannot let that happen. Naruto, Sasuke, please forgive me for this. But just before she could raise her hand Naruto raised his. Sakura, Sasuke and Hinata looked at Naruto in utter shock and disbelief. Sasuke's mouth fell open. Not even the incredibly cool and calm Uchiha could stop his eyes and mouth from widening. If there is one person that he knew would not raise their hand it was Naruto, so seeing him actually do it left him speechless. But he wasn't the only one. Sakura looked at Naruto's shaking form in surprise. She blinked rapidly but she realized she wasn't seeing things. Hinata lowered both hands in her lap and tightly gripped the furry hem of her jacket trying to keep her composure. Non-Naruto, there is just no way. But even though it seemed like Naruto's hand was in the air for hours, it had actually been just seconds before he slammed his hand on the table and looked Ibiki straight in the eye. Don't underestimate me. I don't quit and I don't run. Naruto suddenly yelled out. You can act tough all you want with your stupid rules, you're not gonna scare me away. His voice rang through the quiet room. I never go back on my word, that's my ninja way. And when I become Hokage someday you are gonna have to respect me. Believe it. Humph. He crossed his arms and slumped back in his seat. Everyone stared at the blonde but their gaze was directed towards Ibiki as he let out a chuckle. Is that your final decision? You're willing to take the risk of never becoming a Chunin? Naruto faced him again. You want me to repeat all that? Maybe you should have written it down. A vein on Sakura's forehead popped out. Idiot, making threats at the guy our future depends on isn't going to help. Cha! Inner Sakura felt like strangling him. Very well then. For those of you remaining there is only one thing left to do, Ibiki announced. And that is to tell you that you have all passed the written portion of the exams. The genin in the room either gasped, blinked or dropped their pencils. Naruto's eyes widened. Say what? However, the excitement was nothing compared to the embarrassment that a lot of them felt when Ibiki told them that the true purpose of the exams was to gather information. Naruto paled a bit but he kept his cool. Sakura raised an eyebrow at him. You didn't figure it out? She whispered. You did? Naruto whispered back. Sakura shook her head and rolled her eyes. After showing them his scars and a long, deep and emotional speech about Chunin and comrades, Ibiki was once again congratulating them on passing, but he got interrupted as the window on his left shattered and a ball of thick dark fabric flew through the window and unwrapped, unveiling a busted woman with purple hair dressed in a mesh bodysuit, a skirt, and a coat. The fabric pinned on the wall behind her with "Kanai" said in big white letters. Anko Mitarashi, the sexy proctor of the second test of the Chunin exam. Alright maggots, it's time for the second part of the exams. Follow me, she yelled out, pumping her fist in the air. Ibiki came out from behind the fabric. You're early again. A drop of sweat ran down her face and her cheeks reddened in humiliation, but the embarrassment was replaced with confusion as she looked at the genin. Ibiki, you let all of them pass? You must be getting soft. Or it could be a stronger group of candidates this year, Ibiki responded. It doesn't matter, when I'm done with them more than half will be wiped out. Anko chuckled. Your sensei will notify you about the location and date of the second exam, until then you're dismissed. And with that she disappeared in a puff of smoke along with the fabric. Team 7 were outside the academy building walking away from it. Now that we passed, those guys will know not to mess with us. Naruto folded his hands behind his head and grinned in satisfaction. I doubt that, idiot. It was sheer luck that we passed. Sasuke shook his head at his loud teammate but still quietly sighed in relief. So how about we go to Ichiraku to celebrate? I gotta tell I am an old man Tuchi we passed. Maybe they will even give us free bowls. Naruto giggled in excitement. No thanks, I'm going home to train. I can't afford to be unprepared for the next test, especially now that I know it could be anything. Later. And with that Sasuke jumped on the nearest roof and headed home. Gee, can't that guy enjoy our passing at least for a second? Forget him. You and I can go to Ichiraku alone, right Hinata? He turned to his roommate, catching a worried expression on her face. Hinata? He walked in front of her in concern. Hey, you okay? He grabbed her shoulders, trying to get her to face him. He noticed the way she kept both her hands folded over her chest. They have been teammates for a month now, and the two of them got a lot closer, so Naruto learned to recognize what she felt just by looking at the placement of her hands, because that was a habit of hers that she didn't let go of, and she probably isn't even aware that she is doing it. When she dropped her arms on her sides and she isn't trying to cover any part of her body, that means that she is relaxed. If her hands are gripping the hem of her jacket, she's nervous. If she's covering her face with them, she's embarrassed. If she places her hands over her chin, she's afraid. If she twiddles or taps her fingers together, she's excited, but if she folds her hands over her chest, she's upset, and there must be something wrong. Hey! He called out to her again. This time she looked up at him. See, can we just go home? She said in a quiet, shaky voice. Yeah, of course. He threw his arm over her shoulders and they continued walking. A couple of silent minutes later he spoke up. What's wrong? Will T talk at home, please? She sounded even more worried now. Okay, that's okay. They were quiet the rest of the way. When they finally got to their apartment, the sun was starting to go down, showing that the two were in no hurry to get home, because Hinata knew that when they did she will have to tell him that they almost failed because of her. Sitting down on the couch, she lowered her head, looking at her hands that were now in tight fists in her lap. Naruto sat in front of her feet, putting his chin between her knees. What's wrong? He blinked in surprise when she lifted her head, and a few tears ran down her cheeks. I almost got USD disqualified, she stammered out. Huh? What do you mean? I almost raised my H hand. We would H have FF failed B because of me. You wanted to raise your hand? Why? She sniffed. If we HH had, she swallowed, trying to control her stutter. If we had failed, we could never become Chunin ever. That might make it harder for you to become Hokage. Naruto's jaw dropped in disbelief. Both you and Sasuke have goals. I would have ruined them. Hey, you wouldn't have ruined anything. He tried to comfort her. I don't need to become a Chunin to become Hokage. Even if you did raise your hand, I wouldn't be mad at you. Your intentions were good, although I don't know how Sasuke would have reacted, but hey, that's a moot point. We passed, so no need to cry about it, okay? She wiped her tears and nodded. So what do we do for dinner? He asked sheepishly. I will make you whatever you like. She raised her head to look at him. It's the least I can do. I told you, don't worry about it. He got off of his knees and sat beside her, throwing his arm over her shoulders and giving her a kiss on the cheek. Plus, you know I like everything you make, so make whatever you want. She blushed at his soft smile and gentle words. Naruto's a hothead, it's easy to tick him off, but he was so patient with her. He was just so sweet and kind towards her, always defending and protecting her, justifying her actions and praising her. Her family members would always lose their patience with her and get irritated by her stutter and gentle nature, but Naruto was the total opposite. That's what she loves about him, among many, many other things. Leaning in, she gave him a long kiss on the cheek. She was about to hug him back, but he pulled away a bit to look at her. What? Dessert before dinner? He winked at her mischievously. She blushed even more and giggled. Naruto. The day after they met Kakashi on the bridge where they usually meet at, he explained where the second part of the exams will be taking place, and that's where, the day after, they are standing right now looking at the dark woodsy area surrounded by a tall metal fence. And who was standing in front of it? The same weird lady who burst through Ibiki's exam room window days ago. As all genin who remained in the competition after the first exam gathered around her, she yelled out. Listen up, maggots! It's time for the second part of the Chunin exams. And it will take place in the battle training zone you see behind me. She lowered her voice, giving it an eerie tone. But we like to call it the Forest of Death. The Forest of Death? Hinata gulped. Don't worry. Naruto nudged her arm gently. I'd bet that she's creepier than anything in that forest. But he failed to notice Hinata's slight smile as something else caught his eye. A rock on the ground shaped like a perfectly smooth rectangle with eye holes slowly shimming towards him. Oh, brother! Naruto pinched his nose and shook his head. Are you serious? He looked at the rock. The rock chuckled. You saw through my disguise again. You're quick, boss. A muffled voice said before the rock exploded with colorful smoke. What was left behind when the smoke cleared were 3 kids on their knees on the ground coughing. I think we used too much gunpowder, guys, the familiar voice said in between coughs. The 3 kids looked up at Naruto and Hinata, who were looking at them in confusion. Even Sasuke's eyebrow rose. The kids looked at each other before getting up and introducing themselves. I'm Moegi, the sassiest kunoichi in preschool. Check me out. The female one of the 3 spoke in a sweet voice. I love algebra, call me Udan. The boy with glasses and a runny nose said, making hand signs with his hands which were peeking out from his long sleeves. And I'm the number 1 ninja in the village, Konohamaru. And when we're all together, we are the Konohamaru Ninja Squad, they said in union. The loud introduction drew everyone's attention towards them, and even interrupted another fight between Sakura and Ino, who weirdly looked towards Naruto. Why doesn't it surprise me that Naruto's playing around with little kids? Sakura shook her head. Both girls forgot about the fact that they were arguing just seconds before. Hey, what are those goggles on your head? Naruto lamely asked the 3. You used to wear goggles, remember? So we're copying you. Konohamaru grinned. Oh. Naruto responded flatly. The only reason he wore those goggles was because he really wanted to wear the leaf headband like the others but couldn't because he couldn't graduate. The goggles weren't a nice reminder. Oh, come on, boss. You ought to be more excited. Konohamaru yelled in disappointment. Hinata giggled into her fingers. They are so cute. The giggle drew Moegi's attention towards Hinata. Moegi's eyes widened. Hey, it's that? She whispered to Udan. He fixed his glass and looked towards her. Oh. Flashback. It was another day at the academy, and the classes were about to finish. As all the students in the class packed their school supplies, Konohamaru turned towards his 2 best friends and whispered. Hey guys, I have something important to tell you, so wait up after the bell, okay? The 2 nodded. After the bell, Iruka was exiting the classroom and saw the 3 sneaking around the hallway. Following them to see what they were up to, he stopped next to the wall only to hear a very interesting conversation. I saw boss yesterday after school. Konohamaru started. Iruka raised an eyebrow. Boss? Oh, he must mean Naruto. He smiled. And guess what? Konohamaru continued. He has a girlfriend. Huh? Iruka's jaw dropped. Did he manage to win Sakura over after all? No way, really? Moegi squealed. Boss is so cool. Udan sniffed. And because we're interviewing them today, you'll get to see her. She's really pretty. Konohamaru exclaimed. She has dark hair with bangs and these weird eyes. He described her as the 3 ran down the hallway and out of the building to prepare for the interview, leaving the baffled Iruka in the hallway. No way, he whispered, remembering the shy Hyuga. He remembered the time he gave them an assignment, and while the students were writing, he walked around the classroom observing their work. But as he walked by his timid student, he saw that she had already finished and was now drawing a large heart around Naruto's name in her notebook, which was already full of hearts and chibi drawings of Naruto. He smiled at her as they made eye contact, and she blushed a shade of red that was only possible for her and shrunk in her seat. Later after the class, she walked up to him and shyly begged him not to tell anyone. Wow, Iruka grinned. What a match, indeed. End of flashback. Yeah, that has to be her. Udan whispered back. Moegi nodded. Hey, what's this all about? You kids are interrupting the exams. Anko walked up to them, placing her hands on her hips. Yeah, I was just about to ask what you guys are doing here. Naruto looked at Konohamaru. We're here to do an interview for the Academy's newspaper. Oh, that's right. Lord Hokage told me about that. Anko remembered. Alright then, we are taking a 10-minute break, she announced, walking away. An interview? Naruto asked. Yeah, we are interviewing people here, but there is one person who is the most important. Konohamaru pulled out a notebook and a pen. And who's that? Naruto asked. Konohamaru chuckled. Well, it's you, boss. Hey, what's this all about? You kids are interrupting the exams. Anko walked up to them, placing her hands on her hips. Yeah, I was just about to ask what you guys are doing here. Naruto looked at Konohamaru. We're here to do an interview for the Academy's newspaper. Oh, that's right. Lord Hokage told me about that. Anko remembered. Alright then, we are taking a 10-minute break, she announced, walking away. An interview? Naruto asked. Yeah, we are interviewing people here, but there is one person who is the most important. Konohamaru pulled out a notebook and a pen. And who's that? Naruto asked. Konohamaru chuckled. Well, it's you, boss. Huh? Me? Naruto exclaimed in surprise, but his shocked expression was quickly replaced with a grin. Well then, if that's the case, I'm gonna make it clear to your readers why the Leaf has the greatest ninja in the world, myself included, of course. He smiled cockily. Alright, boss. First, tell us a little bit about yourself. Okay. Naruto grinned and fixed his headband. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, the Leaf's #1 most unpredictable, knucklehead ninja, and I'm on my way to becoming the greatest Hokage this village has ever seen. I'm a member of Team 7, my sensei is Kakashi Hatake, and my teammates are Hinata. He pointed towards her. And Sasuke. He stuck out his thumb in Sasuke's direction. Okay then. Let's hear something about them too. Konohamaru looked towards Hinata with a hopeful smile. Okay, Naruto scratched the back of his head. Wasn't I supposed to be the star here? He whispered to Konohamaru. Yeah, but the whole article can't be just about you, boss. Yeah, I mean of course not, but Naruto reddened in embarrassment, but Hinata's chuckle drew his attention to her. Hey, don't you laugh at me. He walked towards her, pulling her close with his arm while ruffling her hair and jokingly pinching her nose with his other hand, making her giggle even more. You're so silly. She blushed. Yeah, but that's why you like me. He winked at her, making her blush even more. Their eyes met, and for just a couple of seconds they were lost in each other's gazes. There's that tingly feeling again. Naruto pulled himself together and gently rubbed his nose against Hinata's in a sweet Eskimo kiss, intensifying the butterflies in her stomach. Moegi giggled while everyone just stared at the two. Sasuke looked away annoyed while Sakura and Ino looked at the two with their mouths open. Who knew that Naruto could be so affectionate? Ino tried to find the right word for what she was seeing. Yeah, looking at the two, Sakura felt a tinge of jealousy and a bit of sadness, feeling that she just lost a fanboy of hers, probably the only one she's ever had. Was she that awful to him that he got over her so easily? Especially after having a crush on her for years and asking her out 100 times a day, he seemed to have forgotten about her completely. The feeling of envy increased a bit as she remembered that Sasuke never showed that kind of affection towards her, and maybe even never will, but Naruto sure would have if she had given him a chance. Right now, she just needed to try and be friends with him again and apologize for insulting him. After a long interview with all the rookies, the very pleased Konohamaru left with Moegi and Udan. Boss's girlfriend is very cute, Moegi exclaimed. I know, right? Udan agreed. Yeah, but unlike him, she's very quiet. She didn't say much about herself for the interview, Konohamaru said. Anyway, let's go make this into the best newspaper the Academy's ever had. Yeah, the two agreed. Back at the exam location, all the participants were wandering around with a piece of paper they needed to read and sign in case they actually died